Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We're joined today by our friends, new friend Ron and Brian from RT Machine Company.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, nice to be here. Meet you guys. Nice shop.
Oh, thanks.
Nice edge bander, huh?
That is a nice edge bander. Very nice.
It's a work in progress, the shop.
The other equipment's okay, but that edge bander is really nice.
Before we get too deep into it, we want to thank our sponsor, which I left my paper in the other room.
Hey, fella, you want me to go get it?
I think I got it right here. I should know it by heart now.
I know. This looks LED.
Yeah, let's see. Hayflow offers a wide range of products and solutions for the woodworking and furniture making industries. From hinges and drawer slides to connectors and dowels, sandpaper, wood glue, shop carts, and everything in between. Exclusive product lines such as Lux LED lighting and Slido door hardware ensure that every project you create is built to last. Learn more at hayflow.com.
That's it.
Nice.
Nice job.
That's what it's like being young.
Yeah, just had to get the beginning of it.
The memory works a lot better.
Those synapses are firing.
I got to use them now because they're wearing out. That's for sure. Not getting or feeling any younger. So yeah, thanks, Hayflow. We had a great time. We went out to the Manhattan showroom. Was it 2 weeks ago?
I think it was only a week ago.
Last week? Oh yeah, it must have.
Oh
been.
Yeah.
And did an LED lighting class. Which
I heard you talking about
cool.
that.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some lighting coming up. So,
it was the smoke day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah, I was coming down through it.
Yeah, where were you on Wednesday?
Wednesday, I was coming down from Plymouth, Massachusetts,
Oh,
into Connecticut, and then the top tier of New York. So it
was it worse up there?
Oh yeah, as soon as I hit like right at the edge of Connecticut and New York, it was pretty thick.
Do me a favor, Brian. Just pull that mic. Just bring it out a little further. These are very directional, so if you talk like this, it's gonna sound
straight on.
So, what do you guys want to talk about? We definitely want to know, the history behind the company, how you got started. Maybe expand on, what Brian talked about, what you guys are all about, so on and so forth.
Well, I started right out of college. I graduated, and my father was working for a company called Carpenter's Machinery, which he was an independent rep. He was on the road, and I was helping him out. And when I was in college, and it just kind of progressed, and that they hired me. So I started out as a traveling salesman. I was covering Pennsylvania, New York, putting a lot of miles on. And back in 1999, they decided to become an auction company. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't fancy myself an auctioneer. And so I started my own company, and started out with basically about the size of a 3-car garage, and the first truckload of machinery filled it up, and we were off and selling new and used equipment. So we became real big in used equipment because that's what I did at the other company a lot. And we expanded at that facility in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, kept taking up more space. We had half of the complex with equipment by the time we left. And then I think it was in 2006, we bought the building in Hughesville and moved everything up there. And they told me I'd never fill it up 80,000 square feet. They said, you'll be renting part of this out. Can't fill that up with all this equipment, but Brian can tell you.
Now we're looking to add on.
That's what we thought. We said 5,000 square feet. We're going to have to sublet this little spot,
right?
The office where we can get somebody in there to use that.
Yeah, it adds up fast.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we just keep adding to the company, and I guess it was Derek started with us almost
6 years.
6 years ago, and started a service company, which we've needed for a long time. Depending on independence and separate reps, it just wasn't working. So that's really expanded the company. We operate that as a separate division, and I don't know. They must have 7 or 8 trucks and reps on the road servicing equipment. It's a big part of our business now.
Service is where it's at.
Yeah.
Was Josh, right?
Yes. Josh
great.
came out.
Yeah.
We've got some really good guys.
That's, how Brian got in here was more on, we were looking for service on our old edge bander, and unable to find anybody who would even be willing to really look at it. So,
it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we were at a shop yesterday, and his sander is perfectly fine. And if we were pushy salesmen, we would have just sold him a new one. But we're going to send a guy in there and fix it. I'm sure we can fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's a future sale, though.
Right.
That's exactly
what
that
we're all
is.
about. We're all about the future. It's not just here today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we always need new stuff. We always want new stuff. And we say it all the time. Like we always go back to the people and the suppliers that that we get a good feeling from initially. Right. It doesn't matter if we're buying something or just talking to people. You have so many negative interactions with people day to day. Just calling a place, trying to ask a question, and so when you get a good feeling, typically, you try and stick with those people because
right, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for relationships and building those relationships for the future. My son's involved in the business, so we feel like and Brian's son Derek is our service manager, so I think we're positioned for the long term.
Cool.
Yeah, that's more like the European model, looking forward at, a generation or two instead of,
right.
The American model where it's quarterly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So really, we're really pushing the service as a whole of not just our techs coming out, but it's just that pick up the phone, whatever, problem you may be having, and we can walk you through it because we have so many that have been in an industry, and like myself, and between service techs and that firsthand knowledge, coming to the plate, it definitely makes a big difference.
Oh yeah.
And then we're looking at the processes. So, where a lot of people might say, oh, you just need this. Well, I want to dig deeper and really spend your money wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Do we really need to do that? Or what is our alternative? And what is the real scope of what you're doing? Is, 95% of the time you're doing X, Y, Z. Does it make sense to have this other piece of equipment that you'd love to have it, but does it make it, for profitability and really, and does it turn into a dust collector in the corner and
right.
You got a big payment or something on something and it's just like, wow.
Yeah. And, it's vital for guys like us because, we're working our way up from the very bottom. You know what I mean? We bootstrapped from as low as it gets.
Yeah.
So, we might get an idea in our heads like, oh man, we need a flatbed CNC. We'll just use that as an example. And, you might come in and say, well, with having way more experience and we just have it stuck in our head, we might go to machinery company X and they say, all right, here, we'll sell you this 5x10, whatever. And we talk to Brian and he'll say, well, really, you might be better off with whatever, a point-to-point CNC or something like that, rather than just converting the sale because we've sold ourselves on something, which, it happens all the time. And that's what we look for, somebody who can steer us in the right direction.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do is find out what you're trying to accomplish so we can offer the right machine rather than just sell you what you want. Some people just want what they want, and at the end of the day, we'll sell them that. But we'd like to try to get involved in the process.
Yeah. We've said it half a dozen times on the podcast. The service end and the relationship end of your guys' business is what made us decide to, invest in you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Because that's what it is. It's an investment for us.
Absolutely.
And it's already shown itself to be a good decision for us.
Good.
Great. In getting the Edge Bander up and running. All the time that Brian spent here. 2 real solid days. I mean, just working through the parts, and then working through then the connections, working through the Sawstop for the compressor. You know, without you, we don't get to Dan. We don't get that problem solved.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's part of what we're trying to promote. And sometimes it's hard to get people to understand that.
You can't overvalue that at all. I mean, it's so integral, especially in a small company, because otherwise it's downtime. Otherwise, we have this edge band. There's brand new machine sitting over there that we can't use.
Right.
Yeah. And we're finding it even in bigger companies because they rely on us. We're starting to get into putting lines together for the big companies. We have the ability to draw the whole system from beginning to end and CAD drawing and show them how it's going to fit in their plant. We have the people that can come in and put it in. I mean, we've gone to the point of taking a complete optimizing cutoff saw system from one plant in Kentucky and then reinstalling it in another plant in Virginia. Customers didn't do anything. We handled the trucking, the rigging. We those guys can do it all.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
What would you say, like, the most unique machine that's ever come through?
Boy, that's a tough one.
I'm sure there's been a lot.
Yeah, there's been a lot of. We try to stay away from things that we don't know what they are, or what they do. I think probably the most unique one was it made little pucks. It was a little rotary shaper thing, and nobody really knew what it was. And we figured it out. We sold it. It went to Sri Lanka. Kind of a weird one. We got one. I've been at this a long time, and back in the old days, we used to go to furniture factories, and they would have what they call a carton layback machine. Take a piece of furniture, and it would have runners on the bottom. That's how you drug it around the plant. But when you go to box it up, you kind of got to get them off and put the box around. So we had a machine that would actually lay it back, take them off, finish up the box, and ship it. So I bought one day.
We're living in the Stone Age over here.
I bought one day, and my son comes to me and says, "What in the heck is that?" And then, luckily for me, I sold it like 2 weeks later. So, but yeah, I've seen a lot of machines around.
I saw on your guys' Instagram an Oliver dowel, like a dowel making machine.
Yes,
which I always figured they were made sort of in that fashion, but I never actually saw a machine that made them.
Yeah, it takes a square and turns it into a round at a high rate of speed.
Yeah.
It's just a rotary head in there that just goes around like that, a circle.
So it's one way to capture your waste into a saleable product.
Yeah.
It's a nice little add-on. Somebody saying, we always have this 1-inch piece coming off. We don't want to turn it into junk. And it can actually go right to that machine and turn it into something,
Yeah, I've got a whole pile of
We have firewood.
pine cutoffs back there.
You could have really nice smooth firewood with the dowel machine.
Yeah.
It's a nice round firewood.
So how was the? So we have the contest with the Striebig.
Yeah. Yeah, we're excited about that, actually.
Yeah. So Colonial Saw, they're giving away. Nobody else enter. Because we don't want any competition. We're going to enter a 5x10 Striebig. Was it compact?
Compact, yep.
With the digital readout, and so it's a vertical panel saw. Very cool. Very cool machine.
Yeah, Striebig's the leader in vertical panel saws. We'd love to have a pile of used ones, but you can't find them. It's just nobody's getting rid of them these days.
I think Corey said the one shop he worked in had like 6 of them or something.
Yeah, he's got an interesting background. I'll say history. He's run across a lot of stuff in his short time.
Yeah.
I forget how many Martin sliders.
Yeah,
he said that they had.
Did you ever get out there to see him in Patchogue or
Not yet, but he's on the list to get over there.
Yeah,
he's in the market for a wide belt sander. He's looking at the Cantech, but I'm sure he could be
Persuaded.
steered in a different direction. Just as we were with the edge bander. We're like, we'll probably just get one of these Cantechs.
Oh, you're looking at the Cantech?
And initially that, because, we wanted pre-milling. Pre-milling was like the must-have feature was pre-milling. And we were just looking at basically bottom line for price. We're like, this is the cheapest machine with pre-milling that you can get. But then like talking to Brian and doing some research on our own, talking to some people that have the machines, you get what you pay for. So
Right.
you want to spend $28,000 or do you want to spend
Double.
whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. And then the nature of the edge bander. And if you've ever seen an edge bander and all the little things that are in there moving, it's like
It's like a Rube Goldberg.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot going on in an edge bander.
Yeah. And, you talk to people who run, huge 6-figure edge banders and they're all like this. They're all finicky.
That is correct. We're very careful on buying used ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be a very late model one. It's got to be very clean because we can lose money in a hurry on a used edge bander. And trust me, we've done it.
I'm curious if the guy that bought ours has used it.
Well, it fell off the truck when he was getting it. So
they dropped it.
That's not good.
Yeah.
If it was a newer machine, it probably would have fallen apart. But luckily, the thing was like a tank.
Yeah.
What kind was it?
It was a 1996 KD68 Optimat.
Okay.
And Brian was very diplomatic when he came out to see it. So
I try to be.
So what do you think, Brian? We could fix this up, right? Well,
Well, I did, didn't I? I laid out, hey, you guys could wrestle this thing a little bit, and you never know what anybody's capabilities are, and or most guys, with a couple man team, they just want to run. They don't want to be wrenching on something as well because there's your all your profit going out the door, and as well as I do with the plywoods and everything today, you don't want to be tearing up material that you don't have to. And
it's a multi-step process to replace a piece.
Yeah.
Once it gets to the edge bander.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then do you cut, I'm going to cut 2 extra parts of every part.
Yeah.
And then, you're talking about more material, more time, more stuff to keep track of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't do that. Yeah.
And that's where, you guys win the Striebig. You'll be able to
we'll clear a spot right out for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
We just got to get that 3-phase power over to wherever.
We can do that. We know an electrician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You're in the circle now.
We'll just perform our own unlicensed electrical work.
The RT circle. We keep
That's right.
keep our
We'll take
resources.
care of you.
That's it. That's it. You just need a phone call. I was like, back in the 80s when I lived in Brooklyn, I had, my uncles were all connected. So if whatever I needed, I would just make a phone call. Like, back then you had to have you could get your vehicle inspected. You just get like a sticker, just like little things,
Little things.
So my girlfriend at the time, she would say, I don't really like this whole thing till she needed something. And she's like, oh, this is pretty good. You're connected. You make that phone call and it's like something can happen.
Nice
You're
having
in the
those connections.
family.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to repay that favor someday, though.
Right. Hey, remember that inspection sticker way back?
Oh man, that was when I moved out to California one time. I didn't have a license because through this bad set of circumstances, my license got revoked and I couldn't get a new one. So I needed to rent a truck. So I, through these phone calls, I said, just show up here, tell him who you are. He'll give you a truck.
Wow. That's nice. Better be careful with him, Brian.
So
That's funny.
yeah. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do stuff like that anymore, I don't think. Life was simpler.
I'm sure it goes
well,
on.
Yes. For me, all my relatives have aged out of the system.
Yeah. Full on retirement.
That's right. That's right.
That's funny.
But it's always good to know people, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you been up to, Brian, since we last heard from you?
Oh my, the last few weeks I've been, feels like all over the country, but from up in Massachusetts to Connecticut and back into New York and Jersey and trying to service everybody we can and track down our leads. So it's been
Yeah, you got a pretty big territory.
yeah. I enjoy actually being a lot of people say, boy, do you like the driving? I said, I actually love it. It's you get all over, and it's getting into all different shops.
We get a lot of windshield time.
Yeah,
it sounds
for
like
sure.
it.
Yeah, last week I think I did like 40 hours within till like Wednesday night, for the midweek, just early mornings to evening, but try to make the most of your time, in the operating hours of the businesses. So you do all the oddball driving.
What do you listen to when you're out on the road?
Well, the Greene Street Joinery podcast, that's one of them.
There's a company, man.
That's a must once a week, right?
It's a nice little tick in the downloads.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a combination, you listen to a couple news channels till you get, you want to jump off a bridge, listen to those.
Oh, God, yeah.
You switch into whatever playlist and,
turn them off after a while.
Yeah.
Rob and I got into a good.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. To bring it up.
Yeah. So it's I don't know what you would call it. It's like I guess it's like a podcast production company called Wondry, WONDRY, I believe. And they have a bunch of different shows. I listened to one that was like on the Cold War. And then Rob and I listened to one on Prohibition. So it was like a 6-episode, like real deep historical dive on Prohibition. Like, and they get, you learn stuff that it's like, well, like you always say, it's like, we didn't teach us this in history class. And it's like the whole show is like that.
And I got a degree in history. And every 5 minutes I'm going,
It wasn't in the book.
When the history teacher's saying, hey, is that right?
It's just done really well too.
Yeah.
It's some narration, it's some sort of like skits. It's really well done.
Yeah. And the audio production is really high quality. What was it? The Prohibition one, they're like, Prohibition, it like lowered the consumption of alcohol in the U.S. by like 15% or something. It's like they completely outlawed alcohol and it only dropped 15%.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, wow.
Good work.
Yeah. Then it had all these other effects, and then the relationship between the mob and the women's right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was it's really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think when the Prohibition was enacted, they were having parties.
Oh yeah,
to drink up
at
all
midnight. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
game on. Business is going to be booming now.
It was like it's like anything. All the people who had money, they had their alcohol. They they stocked up prior to the whenever the ban went into effect, because they had some time leading up to it. So yeah, they had cases and cases, of alcohol.
Yeah, because I guess it wasn't illegal to drink it. Like if you're at home, you can drink. It's just you couldn't sell it. You couldn't make it, or what? I can't remember the exact specifications, but there were plenty of loopholes if you actually had a stockpile of.
You could go to the
booze.
doctor too and get a prescription for alcohol.
Really?
So you're like, doc, I'm having headaches. I can't sleep. And they're like, okay, I'll give you a prescription for whiskey.
That's going on now with the marijuana stuff. Right?
Yeah.
How about a handle of whiskey a week? How about that?
Yeah.
And then they had to, I think they banned the alcohol as a prescription.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was obviously there was being abused.
Yeah, that doesn't happen now.
Yeah, they were just tracking it that well.
Mm-hmm.
I want to listen to the one. We listen to these when we're doing the Hamptons run usually, because we can get in like 4, 5, 6 episodes.
Right. Yeah. Back to back. So you keep the story going.
Exactly. That's what's really good about it on the long run. I want to listen to the one on the Depression.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we started the civil rights one, I think, on the way back from getting the compressor, but we never finished that. Mm-hmm. Last time, coming back from the Hamptons, we listened to one that was about corruption in New York State.
Oh, man.
And it was like, like the late 90s or early, mid 2000s.
Spitzer, Silver,
Elliott's.
and what was the B?
Joe Bruno or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like within 6 months, 4 I don't know what they were, attorney generals or something.
Yeah, one was they were like the leaders of the opposing parties and the governor. So they were like the 3 most powerful people in New York as far as government, you know.
They all went down on federal corruption charges within 6 months.
Wow.
All on unrelated things. But
That's hard to believe. New York in a corruption.
Yeah, really.
You know.
Yeah.
And
who would have thought?
yeah, there was like all the infighting too that was going on. It was really interesting and it's kind of infuriating to like hear like all these, you know, like when you're just a guy on the street, you know, there's corruption. But then when you hear the detailed stories, it just makes you mad, you know, because you're like grinding away at work all day. And then you hear about like, oh, yeah.
Joe Bruno used the, New York State helicopter 462 times for personal.
Yeah. They make these companies hire their kids or they're not going to, pass the legislation, which isn't bad enough. And then they go, you're going to have to give my kid a raise, even though he's got a no-show job.
Right.
He's not making enough.
Yeah. Pretty
What was
crazy.
it? Elliot Spitzer was like client 49 or something. He was seeing prostitutes and that's why he resigned or whatever.
Yeah. He was, he came into office as like taking the moral high ground. He was going to rid the governor's office of corruption and everything. And he's involved in this whole call girl thing.
Isn't that the way it always works?
Yeah.
He who smelt it dealt it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Good times. Well, tell us why you guys would like to win this Striebig.
Oh man.
What's it going to do to help you out?
Well, first off, I don't know if we said it on air or in our just earlier discussion. Our panels, not our panels, our sliding table saw is not in the best condition. So we really need something that will help us break down sheet goods, easily, accurately, with repeatability. I mean, all the things that a cabinet shop wants to do with sheet goods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since, we have the Sahisa edge bander now. So it's like the slider is really the weak link in the whole plywood and sheet good operation here, is that initial breaking it down on the slider there's just so many things with that slider. Not being able to lock the table back and just not having stops that work properly. The thing's a mess. That's what happens when you buy something sight unseen.
Not locking and you're chasing the panel around on
bad.
I don't know what a sheet of 3/4 melamine weighs, but it's heavy and it's hard to hard to get it on there without.
It's exhausting.
It really is. Yeah. Going into, a 5x9.
It's a scoring blade motor is like
it's wheezing.
Yeah.
It's wheezing. Yeah. It goes through belts.
What's that door project you got going on out there? Would that lend itself to it?
Well, yeah. Like
you were saying, you could actually, build the doors a little bit oversized and put them on there and get your, square them up.
Yeah, because usually we go to the track saw for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We just built those barn doors, and that's what we had to do.
And you're talking about cutting with I don't even know what that Makita track saw was. 1/3 horsepower, maybe.
It's 2 batteries.
Yeah, versus it's 36 volts versus 5 horsepower on that Striebig.
Yeah. I like the idea of the orientation of the stock, and moving, the cutter, so to speak, instead of the
and try to pass the material through.
Yeah.
You're utilizing the accuracy of the saw to keep everything straight and square.
Right. And we just started getting into Mosaic software, which speaks to machinery.
Yep. Yeah, you can bring your cut lists and everything right to it. So you can kind of preempt what you're doing. And I believe actually in there too, they do a thing for the sliders that
they have. Yeah. So Mosaic has an optimizer and you can choose what type of machine you're using. So there is a panel saw option. I'm not sure. I guess it just breaks them down differently, knowing how it operates versus a slider.
Yeah, because you're typically working top down for the most part, or or going into a cross cut, depending on how. I'm a big fan of a lot of the stuff coming from a cross cut if it lends itself. Especially with cabinet sides and things like that. Makes it just easier to handle and not moving the panels so many times. So you think on a regular cabinet job, how many rips did you do before you got into your cross cuts?
When we did those, the bookcases that we edge banded when we set up the edge bander, it was 26 sheets, all ripped at was it 18, and we had that left over. Yeah, so two 18-inch.
It was decompressed right from that.
It was all Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was heavy.
You just manhandle the panels up onto your slider now?
What I like to do is, I'll pick them up with the forklift, and I'll drive the forklift right to the very back of the sliding table, and I'll have it at the height where I can just drag it on there, and it works pretty good. But you hate to drag that stuff around when it's pre-finished.
Thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a big benefit that you're not, especially with these exotics and stuff that we're dealing with now. Much more heavy wood grains and things, and you don't want to be getting the cross cutting and grooving. The bottom of the panel,
spinning it around. Even go from rip to cross cut. You got to turn that sheet around, and there's like a little jag or something on the.
Well, you don't realize how many steps you're doing of running around the back of the saw.
That's right.
So then you think, oh, did I just set that right? Now you're running back to the fence side of the saw. So there's a lot of benefits that.
Oh yeah, it's all front loaded, so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're.
Yeah, like let's say I'm cutting cabinet sides for like a kitchen. So you rip it to 24 or whatever, and then you want to cross cut to 31. Well, that first cross cut, I don't want to use the fence as my stop, because the last piece is going to be awkward to cut. You can use it as a bump stop, but I hate setting the fence, the rip fence and the wing fence, whatever you want to call it, on the sliding table, trying to set them as the same thing, so that I can get my first cut with the bump stop on the rip fence and then finish it. So now I have to cut that piece oversized. I got to turn it around. And I got to,
So whereas you have your 4x8 on, if it's a 4x8 panel you're cutting, you can leave the excess right on the machine and then go to the mid fence. And now you're working at, a level where you're not having to bend down or what have you, and knock that panel down into whatever sizes you're doing, and then just keep going with your panel without having to. So you're really getting it to a point where you're just lifting off the small pieces.
Yeah.
Depending on what the job is.
Yeah. I mean, that machine's got a lot of cool stuff to it. It has that little bearing that goes over, so you can do repeatable rips. You could set it to whatever, say 4 inches, and just keep referencing the top and go down to, get consistent rips. And even just like has little wipers on the bearings that go around the bearings on the axes that keep the dust from getting inside.
Yeah, they
pretty cool.
Thought of a lot of stuff that's just makes for that daily maintenance, and it's not hindering the machine as you're going.
Right.
It's a precision instrument. It's not. It's not the thing that you see at the lumberyard.
Well, and that's what everybody always thinks. First off, it's definitely precision for sure.
Yeah, it's not like a 6 1/4 inch Makita circular saw, just like bolted to some round
frame with no stops, no hold downs. Just let it rip.
There's a video.
Safety's one of the big things as well.
Yeah.
You're not getting your hands anywhere near a blade.
That's right.
Going through it. So that's a big key factor. And, because everybody, and the more you get fatigued through the day, that
can happen.
Percentage can climb,
Yeah. And cutting anything on the slider, like more narrow than say 4 inches, it gets real dicey with the dust shroud, and, it starts getting into the rip fence, and, we don't have a riving knife, and the rip fence is, they seem shorter than like on a normal cabinet saw. So just like on that outfeed, you're expecting something to catch.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then, it's kind of a little slower than just a typical table saw on a slow rip if you're doing it on the slider.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, it's right there in front of you. And the dust collection. That's the other thing. A lot of people don't realize that dust collection is fantastic because it's all encapsulated, and you have very little. So just your working atmosphere of not having to breathe, a lot of that material.
That's pretty cool because on the slider, a lot does come off the top of the saw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And, let's say you need to take 4 inches off of a sheet with the panel saw. You're just taking, this little, with the slider, you're pushing 44 inches on the other side.
Right.
You have to
Makes
move
you
around.
not want to do it.
Right.
It's like, do I have a small piece laying around the shop? Is there another way I can do this?
Exactly.
Instead of
But
dragging
it turns it into a chore,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
You're
do
trying
a lot
to
of
muscle this whole sheet just to take, a piece of toe off of it.
Yeah. I like to me, my thing, I haven't used a panel saw a great deal. I started in my little shop, breaking down, sheets with just a circular saw until I could get them, onto my little table saw, my unisaw.
Yep.
So just I haven't used it enough to be comfortable with the body positioning on the panel saw.
Right.
I know people swear
Slider.
by it
On the slider.
on the slider.
Slider,
yeah. So it just feels awkward to me.
Yeah. There's, you have that extension on the side that you can't, stand where you would typically stand on the cabinet saw.
And that overarm blade guard, that shroud is like, it's huge.
You mean you take the factory supplied blade guard off of your saws?
Right. No, nobody
Never
does
seen
that.
Never saw that.
And those little anti-kickback things?
I swear it's safer.
Yeah, in some ways, I think it is. For an experienced person, if someone was to come in and put all those on the saws, on the cabinet saws overnight, we'd probably be less safe trying to work on the saws.
Right. Our habits and everything like that are tuned into there not being a guard, using push sticks and push blocks and, not taking silly chances, putting your fingers too close to the blade and all this other stuff.
Well, and that kind of lends into, with the safety, but also slowing your production down because you're concentrating on that. Then you're also trying to think of what was my last measurement that I was doing, so it's like, oh, okay, where was I? And how many times you go check your fence again, just because you were doing something else and walked away from it. And
where's that piece of wood I had that measurement written down on?
yeah,
Yeah, that's me. And then if I get interrupted, forget it. Then I'm shot. It's like as long as I can get in my little zone and go, all right, 26 and 7/8, cut that. Then I got my 13 and 15/16 coming up. And, you're just talking to yourself mentally.
Yeah.
And you do it. But then it's like, hey, Rob, can you help me lift this?
Yeah.
It's like,
what the heck was I doing? I got 4 pieces standing up against the wall. What was I cutting,
Yeah, that's the worst thing about the slider is, I might have, like I was saying, we did that job, 26 sheets. So now I have 54 18-inch rips that are stacked up before I can start cross-cutting stuff.
Right.
It gets crazy.
Yeah, so tremendous benefits with it.
Yeah.
Not only the accuracy, just everything we just talked about that, makes a whole world of sense. Plus the space savings, which everybody has a premium of that anymore,
Yeah. Easy use, safety.
Yeah.
Those are, you don't talk about those things. They're not as glamorous as some of the other things, but they're right at the very top of what you need to do to run a business like this.
Yeah.
I saw you have a Sawstop out there talking about safety.
Yeah.
You guys just became...
Yeah, we just became a dealer for them.
We love Sawstop. We even have, we've used it 2 or 3 times, but we even have the little job site saw.
Yeah. Oh, do you?
That we keep in the van.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, can't beat it.
No.
Gotta keep those fingers. I noticed you guys have all of you.
That's when you're likely to do something sketchy, on the job site.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would bet. Yeah. I could just inch this a little bit. Yeah.
You're always here. You're in a controlled environment. On the job site, when that saw comes out, it's because something didn't quite go as planned.
Yeah, right.
We have to rip something on site. Yeah.
Yeah, something's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, they've really taken over the table saw market. Little unisaws like you mentioned earlier. You can't really get rid of them anymore. We don't buy them.
We've been saying this ever since we got it. We have the industrial. It's a better saw regardless of the safety features.
Yeah. It gets a lot of flack from, like experienced professional guys. They're like, I don't need that. Well, you should be able to pay attention, blah, blah, blah. Even if it didn't have that, the build quality on that saw, it's way better than that unisaw.
It is.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah.
It is.
Absolutely.
And it's not like, for me, it's the old school, like, oh man, I don't want to be the chump that sets off the thing, and then it costs us $100 and whatever to do it, and then the blade is probably shot. So it's not like you're cavalier running the Sawstop.
Right.
You're crazy if you're doing that.
Yeah. You don't really want to test it.
No, who would do that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like if they came out with a car that, you could, and you couldn't get hurt in a crash, would you say,
Yeah.
I don't need that.
Going to go running into a wall.
Yeah. I don't crash my car. Well, you might, somebody might crash into you. You don't know, there's like a machismo thing about it where it's like, I don't need that safety feature, but hopefully we don't need it either. But in the event that we do,
that was always a little bit unexpected. I didn't understand that there would be people out there that sort of made fun of the safety mechanisms.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. I never heard that before, so I'm surprised.
Maybe not the safety mechanism, making fun of the people who use them. As being less than, in some capacity because you have it.
Well, I think a lot of that old mentality is fading.
Yeah. Those people are dying off, I think.
Yeah.
The thing about safety is you don't know you need it until you need it.
Yeah.
I told the guys they were talking, we don't make them wear safety shoes around the shop, but now they are. And one guy goes, well, we haven't had a problem.
Yeah,
you don't have a problem until you have the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we won't know if we would have had a problem because you're just going to drop something on your foot and be fine.
Well, it's funny because, being all the years in the shop, I'm so in tune. I still wear my steel toes and stuff, outside, just doing stupid stuff, and it was funny because Derek years ago, he had a landscape business when he was a kid, and I always made him wear steel toes and stuff. Well, and he was down at the one marina cutting with one of the big weed whackers, but with the saw blade on it.
Oh, shit.
And he was cutting down all these saplings and stuff. Well, and the one day the grass was a little wet in the morning and he slipped, fell back. The saw blade bounced off the steel toe.
Oh my God.
And, that was a good lesson at 13, 14 years old.
Oh yeah.
That, wow, Dad's actually pretty right on this kind of stuff because you never know. We were just driving down. I watched this guy with a walk behind zero turn mowing in flip flops.
Oh,
and I just cringe every time I see that kind of stuff.
It's like the guys that ride their motorcycle in shorts.
Yeah. I might have been.
you might have done it. You might have
fell into that.
Yeah, that's if you've ever seen some road rash.
Oh, I've had it too. So it's not fun.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was in a motorcycle accident. I was hit by a car head on.
Oh, wow.
And a helmet saved my life.
Oh, absolutely.
So I've always been a believer in the helmet.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Just the simplest bang.
Yeah.
Your
head hitting the pavement's not going to end well.
No, never does.
No, and the way people drive,
That's it. It's not the biker. It's the person in the car.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Trying to watch what you're doing.
Yeah. There's no respect for the for the biker out here at all. I noticed.
No, and it's getting worse.
Yeah.
You know, because people just don't understand. You know, not at all.
I think the bikers out here too, though, are a little bit less than courteous, I'd say.
Oh yeah,
So-
I was on Garden State the other day, and I was prepared for it, but these two guys on little crotch rocket style bikes, they split lanes between. I'm in the slow lane with the wife, and they split lanes between me and a van.
Yeah, I was on my way here. Might have been Monday. 6:15 in the morning, and there's not congestion, but there's like a little bit of traffic. People going to work and stuff. People that commute into the city, I guess. Guy on a big Harley, like a full
dresser.
Yeah, splitting lanes. Up Highway 36, 6:15 in the morning.
Yeah, in California, I was a big lane splitter. You ever find that all these things come back to haunt you? Like,
boy, look at that asshole go!
Made sense.
Back then, you were
younger.
that asshole.
Exactly. I used to laugh when I would go down the block setting off car alarms. Remember those days? Because you could go down those narrow streets on your bike and you'd leave a trail of car alarms going off. Now
These
I'm
people
like,
talking while they walk past my house.
exactly. Keep
it down.
I'm a grumpy old man.
Hey, you kids, get off my lawn!
When I was a teacher, I used to catch myself doing that stuff all the time. Like these effing kids. I'm like, all right, count to 10 because you were twice as bad as that. You know what I mean?
Isn't it funny how the tides turn?
Yeah, it is. It's a strange phenomena.
Yeah.
But it's healthy if you catch yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can laugh at yourself a little bit and go, yeah.
Yeah, I was that
Yeah,
guy.
no, that was me on that end. Now it's me on this end.
Yeah,
Right.
Some things never change.
No. Yeah.
Get wiser.
Yeah. Hopefully we all can get old and remain healthy and, live through that change, the arc of life.
It's a little slower, for sure.
Yeah. Slow. Yeah. You get more deliberate. I found that's the way I would put it. Like, I have to be more deliberate as I'm aging.
Yeah.
Um,
And Jeff's still in that. I don't know what you guys are kind of talking
Uh,
about.
Jeff's
I'm pretty old.
he's an old soul.
Yeah.
Jeff's an old soul. He's young, but he gets it.
I got all the youth out of me a long time ago.
Because when you come from a place where you work growing up,
Yeah.
it's different than if you just hit the working world after you've graduated college or something.
Right.
Jeff's one of those that's worked his whole life before you hit working age.
Yeah, I know that feeling too well.
Yeah.
Got a lot of miles.
Yeah, working in the restaurant industry and stuff like that. That'll teach you some good work ethics too,
Yeah, it's always hustle and bustle.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And then there's all the partying that goes along with it. So it's like you doing both of those at the same time. I just reached the point where it's like, okay, I'm burnt out. This is now.
Decide to go with the work part instead of the party part.
Exactly.
You pegged the fun meter.
Yeah. Because you can't keep up anymore.
Yeah.
And you see, if you go out to bars and restaurants, you see these guys who are a career bartender, a guy in his late 40s, early 50s or something. You're like,
You
man,
look 60.
you've had a hard run at it. We did get a couple questions.
Oh, cool.
From some people. Let's see. I have them here. Took some screenshots. So we have two from our buddy Corey. That's the guy in Patchogue. I'll just read both. What do you look for in used machinery before you buy them? And what's the process of fixing up a used machine that you guys plan on selling?
Well, every machine's going to be different, but when we go out and look at a machine, we know the wear points, like on a gang rip saw. I always walk up to it and open up the little door and I stick my hand in there and I feel the pins. We ask questions of the previous owner, hoping we get an honest answer.
Right.
So it's all about the condition, what we can see, what we can find out about it, if we can see it run, things like that. It's and we make mistakes.
Don't we all?
And we've had a lot of people tell us it's a great machine, it works great every day, and we get it home and we plug it in and it won't even come on.
We bought 2 of those.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's, and I would think a buyer, a customer like yourself that would be looking at a used machine, it comes, if you're going to do the smart thing, in my opinion, you would buy it from somebody like us who does test it out, does guarantee it, does supply the support for the machine.
Believe me, we looked when we were in the market, but sliding table saws apparently very hard to come by.
Yeah. And a lot of people buy at auction and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, you're kind of, it's on your own to go out and inspect the machine. But these days, a lot of them are online and they just sit there and click the button and they get what they get.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and our process with selling used machines, we always tell people we'll sell it to you any way you want it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll sell it to you as is, where we just guarantee that it's a Altendorf sliding table saw, and that's all I guarantee. And from there, you're on your own, and you got 30 days to bring it back. That's kind of the standard. To the point where we'll just clean and check it, where we tell you what we found. It needs a bearing here, or it needs a electrical component there, and we tell you what's wrong with it, and you buy it that way. Or we do the completely refurbished, where we bring it in the shop, everything's gone through, fix what needs fixed, and we guarantee its operation when it goes out. So we have a full shop, technicians, we power our machines up. Right now, we're in the process of rebuilding what they call a Harlan laminator. It's a high-speed, top and bottom paper laminator. New ones probably cost $3-4 million.
Oh my God.
And
wow,
the guys are tearing it right down to the frame, sandblasting and repainting, and we actually modified the machine. We actually upgraded the machine while we're doing it and put all new electronics on it. I think it's a 10 or 12 month project that we quoted it. So we have guys that can do just about anything.
That's an amazing amount of knowledge to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. Because how many machines are there like that out there at any given time?
Well, I don't know how many are in operation, but I only know of one other one for sale, and I actually have that one too. But yeah, there's not a lot, and there's not a lot of companies that can do what we're doing to the machine.
Right. Yeah. So when there's so few of them, I mean, the number of people who have knowledge is so much smaller than something like a cabinet saw.
That's right. Yeah, most of the people that have knowledge of those are the ones that are using them every day, but they're not going to help the next guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the company that we're doing this for actually has like 4 of these things now, but they don't have time to rebuild it on their own. So we're kind of doing it at their direction. They wanted to look this way, do that, and they're working right. Partners, we're hand in hand with them. They're coming in next month to do a progress inspection.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing, because you guys are doing this on one hand, this multi-million-dollar venture, and then you're working with people like Jeff and myself, 2 guys on Main Street, Keensburg. That's
right. And we so I told somebody the other day, we'll do anything from selling a table saw to a machine that's bigger than your house. This, that laminator, for instance, what is that? Probably 100 feet long.
Yeah, at least. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And then just the sheer height of the machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a building.
Yeah.
It
really is. Yeah. And then when you get in all the, safety walks, the crossovers, that are attached to this whole machine, it's pretty incredible. We'll get you some good pictures of it.
Yeah. With a person, so we can see the scale.
Yeah.
Might be able to get it diagonally in the shop. Maybe. What's the hypotenuse on a 70?
You guys got to make a field trip up to see us.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
We had some guys in the other day, and they said we just didn't realize how big the place was. I mean, we put out all the pictures, and we even have a video with the drone flying through and stuff. But until you walk through and see all that equipment, you really don't get a feel for it.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we had Bob Schaefer from Pheasant Hall was up, and we're actually getting doing a partnership with Pheasant and Wilson Art because of the gluing equipment and everything that we do. And, we do so much reconditioning of glue spreaders and you name it through the whole gamut. And they were really looking for somebody that they could trust. And of course I've known Bob for 30 plus years myself. And we've been went back when he worked at Wilson Art International and then came on with Pheasant Hall. The wealth of knowledge that we have there with all the glue applications and the right products for what you're trying to do. And like we're working on right now, we have a couple customers that they're trying to get away from spraying contact for their panels. And we have like a base spray unit that's diaphragm pump. You can, pump right off a 5-gallon pail. And the nice thing about that is instead of spraying, with contact, you're on one board that's got a face and a backer product on it. You're spraying each sheet, 4 times to make that panel. Whereas this, you're spraying it twice. And you're into a PVA product that's tremendously cheaper, to give you like a spread. A lot of people are using a container based, like propane bottle looking thing today. And to go to spraying something like this, you're looking at 65 cents a bonded foot, in a canister to a $6 to $12 square foot.
Wow.
And then the bond strength is, you're on a permanent style bond. So just the porousness of the product and going in, biting everything together. So,
and you don't have to breathe in all that fumes from the contact.
Exactly. That's the other thing. So not only your cost, that in the glue itself, typically, from some of the preliminaries that we've done, you could save $31 per sheet.
Wow. And you were telling us about like what people get to like do those layups, and like we were shocked at how little it is. Yeah. If you can save $31 a sheet, like you're going to be doing, that's like a lot better.
Yeah.
So
economy of scale there. Like yes.
It's a nice partnership because they cover, pretty much half of Pennsylvania and then New York and the bottom side of New York and Jersey. And then we're out in Delaware and Eastern Shore, Maryland. So, and then with the relationship there with Robert Bootens from Wilson Art, he's our main regional. We have the outreach to our Ohio and Southern salespeople as well. So I think it's going to be a good fit. They're excited about it,
Yeah.
Bringing it on.
It was very interesting. The stuff I had never even see people spraying the contact cement and you're just like, okay, but I didn't realize how much it was costing them to do that.
Yeah.
And all that overspray goes everywhere. And
Oh yeah. So my son said, I really like that pink look when I walk into a shop.
Smells really, really good.
Yeah.
there is something fun about, spraying that stuff, but
It's like silly string.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't have like a ton of experience doing it, but I always found that like you would get failures sometimes and you just, didn't know why.
Well, not only are you spraying, and now you have that open time before you can, bond the two pieces together. So that's pretty huge there. Now you have the dry time of the PVA, but you're actually getting a much stronger bond and a more consistent bond.
Yep.
So, from the bottom side, so a shop like yourselves, you could spray the PVA, run it through a pinch roller, and then everything's just dead stacked. So it's just the next panel that's coming on top of it. Then, you just, at the last panel that comes off, you just throw another, blank 3/4 or whatever, on top. And, you let that sit for, an hour or 2 hours. We always recommend longer. Everybody's about the speed, but you're building stress into the panel, no matter if you're spraying a flammable, a non-flam, or putting a PVA product down, that stress is in the panel until it totally settles itself out. We've always used a rule of thumb of like 48 hours is like optimum. So if you're going to go start knocking that panel down, is it dry sooner? Yes. Is it going to cause you more issues doing it sooner? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not only from knocking that panel apart, and we were talking about that bow, from lengthwise in that panel that you're cutting apart, then now you're going over to the edge banding machine, and now you have this part that's got a hook to it, so the more you can let something stay and work around that. And the big thing is really the cost and the health factor, going to a PVA thing. So
just the weight of the sheet itself is enough for that bottom
Yes. So what you're getting is it's considered a contactable PVA. So the one that would be prominent that can spray or go through a roll coater is Wilson Arts 3001. We can spray other products and obviously roll coat any of them. But now you're talking about different viscosities and things. So once you get into a roll coater and you're doing top and bottom panels, that's where you start playing with different glue numbers that have different viscosity levels. So depending on the irregularity of the product you're running. So now if somebody's primarily running a plywood based material, most of it's pretty good, but you're always going to get something going on. So you want to keep your viscosity higher so you get a little bit thicker bond, in that. And typically they're all being bonded, like a 7 grams, 7 mils is what we go by for the application. Is pretty common, no matter what the viscosity is, because it's all relevant to whatever viscosity that you're using for that product.
So machine lays it all out.
Right. So it basically it looks like a pinch roller with, either a doctor roll to it or a tray base. And, you're basically roll coating on. So a lot of people, if you don't have a lot that you're doing, the roll coater, the cleanup time and things like that, it is a little bit more to contend with. But as far as the glue waste, you don't really waste all that much glue, because when you're actually, firing up the line and then when you're running down, you kind of gauge how much material is going down in that trough or the roll coater, the doctor roller, to gauge kind of where you're at. So you have least amount of, and the other thing too, is we always kept like another container right there. So before we cleaned up for the day, we scooped out, put that in the container. Then we used it for glue bottles and things throughout the shop, of just general assembly glue and stuff. So, it can be utilized for all kinds of stuff.
A little more high tech than the way we do it.
Yeah.
We take the gallon of glue and dump it on
then hit it
use
with
some nice 4-inch rollers.
Rollers, yeah.
And then slide in the vacuum bag.
Well, and that's what's nice too with that spraying of it. It's really quick, and especially if you have the vacuum bag, to do it, that you're already there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with the little, we use like a whiz roller. Find that it's so hard to get a consistent amount of glue out. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what happens with the spray equipment, the spray and or roll coater. So, but most shops would benefit, if they're doing minimal layups. The spray equipment makes sense, and we used it for a lot of stuff where we were bending MDF products and things like that in a jig or in your bag unit, and makes it that you can just, and the nice thing is you can just let it, your glue's not going bad from it. It's minimal cleanup and it's water cleanup, so a lot of benefits all the way around with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's things, just like gluing the edges of boards to do, edge to edge glue ups. You don't think about how much time that takes, but then, forget the name of the company. It starts with an R, I believe. They have the pressurized glue pot with the little roller, like how much time would that save over the course of a year? Like, it's insane when you start to get into these really specialized tools, like how much time you could save. And in a big shop, it's exponentially more. But
well, like a little common thing like that is just to use the small little trough
glue spreader.
It's it has like a little cat hopper at the top. And
well, they do those, or it's a little pan with a roller in it. You put the glue in there and you just take your piece across the roller.
I've seen those.
Yeah, if you're doing a lot of boards,
that'll help you out a lot.
Consistent too.
Faster than your finger?
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
But then you don't get to peel all that glue off of your fingertip.
That's in your downtime. You peel the glue off from the. Pretty good.
Yeah, I tried like the little brush. I mean, I'll use a brush every now and again, the acid brush, and I tried using those silicone brushes in the past. I wasn't having. The finger is always the best, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't even spread it. I just, I put a nice bead in the center and make sure that when it, goes together, that it's filling the hole.
Did we answer that other question from Corey? What did he have?
It was, what's the process of fixing up a used machine? That was the second.
Yeah, I mean, we test it first.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to totally recondition it or whatever, we bring it in and we plug it in and we test it and we get a condition report. And if we're going to recondition the machine, we know what parts we need. So we order those parts and then they're staged. And then when the machine comes together, we have the parts and the machine and we take it all apart, clean it, paint it, whatever we're going to do, and then put it back together. Inevitably, you find something else that you missed because these machines are not,
they're not babied.
Yeah, I mean, you get inside of the machine, it's like, oh, we didn't know that bearing was bad, or we didn't know that shaft was worn that much. So that can delay the process when we get to that point.
Or you fix one thing and end up breaking something else.
Yeah.
That always happens.
Well, it's like changing airlines. If you start changing one airline, then that one blows and then that one blows. So a lot of times we just replace them all.
Yeah.
We're familiar with that exact circumstance.
That old edge bander. It was, replace one and then that just increased the pressure enough to blow the next one. And
yeah.
It's like, where's that sound coming from?
Let's see. We have one more question, and then actually I have wanted to ask about the Oliver thing. Can they discuss tools or brands to avoid due to reliability, or ones to not pass up? Like, I guess if you saw this for sale used, like something that you would definitely buy.
As far as a machine,
yeah.
I could rattle off lots of machines that most people wouldn't know what they are, but anything late model in a CNC machine, whether it's a panel saw or router, we would definitely not pass it up if we could get it for the right price. We're big into solid wood stuff as well. So gang rips, molders, any of that kind of stuff is in our wheelhouse. And those are the things that we would, but a particular customer, it depends on what he does.
Right.
The things that we don't buy a lot of used are edge banders. For the reasons why you got rid of yours.
The reasons why we bought a new one.
Yeah. It has to be really nice
Mm-hmm.
for us to venture into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that answers the question. It's kind of a hard question to answer. It's,
because what you guys do is so broad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he did say, I guess you would avoid edge banders, but any manufacturer specifically, not necessarily edge banders, but any tools or brands to avoid due to reliability.
I don't know.
Because it really depends on, how that machine was run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As far as a used machine, new, I'd revert back to staying with a dealer like ourselves that are servicing and,
Right.
Can give you the track record.
Every manufacturer that we've worked with or that we know about probably has had issues.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say that there's one out there that I would I don't want to throw myself under the bus either,
Right.
quite honestly. Because we
Ryobi. We'll just Ryobi. We'll put actually, that's funny because Sal's got a lot of Ryobi. Who has that? Sorry, Sal. It wasn't a
But we work with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
We buy parts from them. We get advice from them and fixing machines. And we have good relationships with almost all of the importers, even though we don't sell their stuff new because we do so much used equipment. So
I wanted to ask you guys about, what you're doing with Oliver and Straight Up Plane and all that stuff.
So we, I guess it was about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, I think.
We purchased the pre-1999 Oliver. So we bought the rights to the machines, the parts, and we have all the manuals and stuff for it. So we named it Straight Up Plane because the big machine that we were working on and still do are the planers, the double-sided Straight Up Planes. But we sell the parts even for their little shapers and table saws and lathes and joiners and stuff like that. So, that's worked out really well for us. We actually have a whole division set up for that. We have the parts. We have a couple of rooms in the building with racking in it with all the parts. And we have one guy who's that's full-time job now. John is doing that all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fielding calls. And back when the other company had it, I think they called themselves Eagle something. It was a brother and sister, and they were getting tired of it. So sometimes you would call up there and they wouldn't call you back for a week or sometimes longer.
That's got to be like you have to care. You know, you're going to own the rights to a vintage machinery maker. Like you got to really be into it.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think they were just aging out. They were ready, looking towards retirement. So we were buying a lot of parts from them because we had rebuilt a couple of straight-up planes. And one day he said to our guys, "You guys ought to buy me. You're my biggest customer." So we did.
Our buddy Matt Viz up in Connecticut, he has an old Oliver 16-inch joiner, and is it a 30-inch planer?
It could be.
I think so.
And he reached out to you guys, and I think you guys are getting him like birth certificates and stuff.
Yeah, I actually didn't even know about that because I was I see the emails coming into the. I stopped doing that, but I used to see the ones coming into the sales and some guy asked for a birth certificate, and I chuckled and I sent it off to Derek, and I go, "What's wrong with this guy?" And he goes, "No, we charge money for these birth certificates." I'm like, "Oh, okay, silly me."
You can monetize it. It's not funny anymore.
Right. Well, hey, great idea.
Right. Yeah. And that's what the previous company was doing, and we kept that up. And people get they love their Oliver machines.
Yeah,
they're very well built. They could be antiques, but they're great machines, and to the point that they do want to know when it was built, and they want a birth certificate. So they do a lot of that.
We've got some of the newer stuff
in a shop in Stowe, Massachusetts last week that they had their Oliver bandsaw was 1919.
Wow,
It's pretty cool to see. You know?
Yeah.
I think that machine had at least a 24-inch throat on it. It was a good sized machine.
Yeah. Did it have any kind of ornamental ironwork on it? I know a lot.
That one actually did have.
I don't remember the episode when we were doing the furniture history. We came across some photos of machines and things like that. Just like the workmanship that went into like just the pedestrian castings. Parts, was just.
Yeah, we have we've collected some machines, but they're just sitting out in the warehouse getting rusty right now. I always said I was going to set up a little museum, and maybe someday I will. But we have a lot of the old literature and stuff, not just for Oliver, but we have some other ones. And then we have a wall in our conference room that we started taking old nameplates off of. And some of them, we let them kind of like antique people do. We just let them rusty if they are, and we just bolt them to the wall. And people like to see that. It's kind of cool. Old Marine Johnson labels, Oliver, Madison.
Yeah. It's funny you said the thing with the eagle, because on the joiner, doesn't it have like an eagle on the, isn't the, like
that's like their was it part of their logo?
Yeah.
The new Oliver.
Yeah. Well, that's I had the joiner's like probably like one of the first runs of the new.
Okay.
And there's a difference between that and the Shaper, which is like a new.
Yeah, that's only a couple years old.
Okay.
Where you can tell it's sort of like, an import machine, the Shaper, it looks like all the others, just this one's blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like you look at the Laguna next to the Oliver, it's like, okay, they painted that one black.
Sometimes it's that way. The factory over there makes them all, and it's just that one's white and that one's blue.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the Grizzly catalog, it's like, they have Grizzly, Shop Fox, Bailey, South Bend. It's like, okay, these are all the same machines. They just painted one green, one white, one blue, and one, I don't know what I guess South Bend's blue too, I think.
Yeah, they're like blue and white or cream,
But, there's only infrastructure to make these things so many places.
That's right. Yeah, and a guy over here gets the idea that I can do a better job at importing them and selling them, so he changes the name and goes to the same factory.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of that happens.
Dave Chappelle had a funny skit about like when, politicians are like, we're going to bring these jobs back to America. And he's like, what? So iPhones can cost $9,000?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like, we want to wear Nikes. We don't want to make them.
Some of these machines, I can't imagine what it would cost to make them over here.
Right?
It's unfortunate, but
Yeah, you can only take it to a certain extent with.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the smaller stuff. I mean, we still have very good American manufacturers, CNC routers, CR100, Marine Johnson makes their gang saws and double end tenoners, dovetailers, things like that. So there's still some.
Yeah, it seems like the more industrial you get, the more options there are for stuff that's made domestically.
That's correct. That is correct.
Yeah. I guess a lot of the ones that are it's manufactured, it's assembled in America.
Yeah, there is some of that.
Like Oneida, the dust collectors.
Are they done that way? I didn't know.
I don't know how much is done in America. They tout themselves as, I mean, we have one.
Mm-hmm.
They tout themselves as made in America.
I thought
they use
they were.
American motors, and I guess they're probably
I think
doing.
it's got a leasing on it.
Yeah, probably welding and stuff like that here. So, I mean,
that's like our laser. It's all the parts are, maybe not all, but the majority of the parts are imported, and then they put it together in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good. We like to support, jobs whenever we can.
Yeah. We work with a lot of American. A lot of our companies are American companies.
Yeah.
Taylor clamp carriers up in New York. They're made in New York. Like I said, Marine Johnson and CR100. They have PMK we work with. I'm sure I'm missing some people that get upset with me, but
We'll get them on the next episode.
we were with the big boys. We've been with the SCMs. We were with Styles. We just don't play well with those kind of companies, I guess. We're very independent. Our used equipment gets in the way for a lot of those guys.
Yep.
So
I saw a funny comment about Styles on Instagram maybe about a week ago. They said, yeah, when you call, they ask for your credit card number before they even say hello.
They're not the only ones, unfortunately. But we do get along with them still very well. They do support us, and so I don't really have a bad thing to say about Styles. But they're like a lot of these other companies. The parts are very expensive.
Yeah.
But so are cars. If you wanted to build your car part by part, you'd pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and they make nice machines, and you have to. There's a level of I don't know, you have to maintain the exclusivity of, the product. You're a top tier product. You can't, it would be nice if you could, but you can't sell the parts for nothing.
That's right.
It's
That's
like
right.
when you drive a Mercedes, the parts are just naturally more money.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, I think quite honestly, it gets so competitive on the sale of the new machine that a lot of times they're not making much money on that sale of the new machine.
It's the back end where it's like sport bikes, like when we used to ride like Ducatis, and when Triumph first came out, that we would get the bikes cheap.
Right.
The dealer would give them to us for whatever the below sticker
was.
was.
The parts business.
Yeah, because just service on a bike like that is insane, and you go through tires like nobody's business.
And you're not going to keep it stock. You're like, wow, this new exhaust would sound really nice.
Especially California. First thing you do is pull off the California emissions, and you got to do rejet the carburetors, and you need a new exhaust, and you're going to go carbon fiber,
That's what we need to do. We need to start up a line of just customization products for our saws. Hey, you got to get this carbon fiber guards.
Yeah. Well, that's like, we started looking at we were talking about the Altendorf saws a while back, and then it's like you start looking at all the options. It's like, wow, I'm already spending this much. Might as well add the vacuum pods on the thing, and
30 is for us. 30 is the same as 40 or the same as 50. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like we got it laying around in the corner of the shop.
Buy once, cry once.
Yeah, that is about a motto, isn't it?
Yeah. It's gotten us in trouble before.
Good times. What are some of the other big projects we have going in the shop right now?
You guys?
Well, they just finished up that Maycor sander. There's a company called York Casket that obviously they make caskets.
York, Pennsylvania?
In York, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And we've been doing quite a bit of work with them. And they had this old, I believe it was a Della Vedova sander, but they had this old sander and it wasn't working and they wanted it different. They wanted it designed differently. So we brought it in and we stripped it and we remade the working units, the sanding heads, and then we put it back together. And it's got a computer touchscreen control to position everything. And we wrote all that program. We have a guy named Kyle that does that for us.
Wow.
So to give you an idea of how long the sander is.
Yeah, that's probably 30 feet maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does it do in those 30 feet?
Well, it sands the molding profiles. So it's got one head that'll sand this part, and one that'll sand that part, one that'll sand that edge. So when it feeds through, all the parts are hit. When it comes out, it's done.
Wow.
That's sweet. I was going to ask you, in New Holland, Pennsylvania, there's a big company that specializes in liturgical work.
The church furniture?
Yeah.
Yeah, New Holland Church Furniture.
Is that them? Yeah.
That's what they're called. Yeah, we just, I don't know if their router is delivered yet or not, but we sold them a new CR100 CNC router that we did the runoff last month. So the machine will be delivered shortly.
Yeah, I went out there once when St. Mary's in Middletown, when they built up the new church. That's where they got a lot of the furnishings. And I was really close with Monsignor Walsh. He's no longer there, but he took me out there because I was building stuff for the church, and so we had to take a field trip out there.
Yeah,
and just seeing the size of this place.
Oh yeah,
just was like, oh my god!
You should see the size of their new CNC.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one,
just the systems of like where the finishing things and like stuff just hanging and just going around like the old dry cleaner kind of place. I didn't even know what to think because I couldn't comprehend that scale of we
work. Get into some really big factories. Yeah, we have a guy in central Pennsylvania, Appalachian Wood Products, who makes kitchen cabinet doors. I think right now he's probably making 8,000 doors a day.
Wow. I was going to ask, have you guys ever worked with Meridian?
Yeah, I was just at Meridian.
We just placed our first door order ever.
Yeah.
Wow. We bought some stuff from Wallscraft, just like, but that was just for somebody.
That was to replace something. It was like a favor kind of thing.
No, they were having an issue, are still having an issue with their gang ripsaw that we sold them like 13 years ago, and we didn't know about it. So they called me in to talk about replacing it, and I think it was me and my salesman, and I think we had 5 of their guys, and they told me what was wrong, and I said, you don't need a new ripsaw. You need our guys to come in and fix the one you've got. So I'm hoping we can get that done for them pretty soon.
I told the party after that.
Yeah, well, I told the big boss, I said, I'd be happy to take your money if you really want a new ripsaw, but you don't need one.
Then you could take theirs old one back, fix it up a little bit, and sell it.
Right. But like we said earlier, we're in it for the long term, so we'd rather not do that kind of business.
I mean, just if you're the boss there and you hear that, the next time you need a tool or a machine, where do you think he's going?
Yeah, you'd have to be crazy to go.
I mean, I would hope so. It wasn't really what was on my mind. It was
well, you're right. It might not be. It's who you are as a person, and following that, who you are as a business.
Right.
And that's the way we like to think of ourselves as well. This is how we get our next client. We're doing that door job because we showed up on the job at another place and met somebody on the job, and he just liked the way we did things, liked our personality, liked our work, the way we went about our business, whether that's, laying down, protection or whatever, you can just tell how somebody works.
Right.
Well, and I definitely think with today's society of everything being online, people are warned of not being able to talk to people or people showing up. And, that's why we believe in the face-to-face and meeting. And, a lot of companies have pulled back their on-the-road salespeople, and, they think it can do it all from there. But, to be honest, the majority of my stops within a week, I'm getting in the shops and talking to people, because they're just like, hey, I haven't seen, nobody comes around anymore. And, it's good to reception of having that,
It's a little old school, but I'm working on a project up in New York that the guy's putting in a new gang rip and a crosscut optimizing scanner. The whole works. It's all used equipment. And I went up there 3 times with the drawings, and he kept like, "Do you really need to come back up here?" But it's much easier for me to put the drawing in front of him and take my finger and lines here and there and stuff. So, and he gave us the order, so that's what pays off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of our, strongest relationships were fostered from like that sort of face to face. Like when Rich came from Hayfla, we struck it. We had a Hayfla account. I don't think we had ever ordered anything.
No.
And now we order everything from Hayfla. And same thing with you. You came here and met us, and
that
was it.
It makes a big difference, being able to meet somebody in person versus.
We could have bought a different edge bander. That one from the school was basically brand new, still had the plastic on it, maybe half the cost, but no training.
Right.
No, nothing.
Yeah.
No,
Well, it's funny too, because I get a lot of, "Oh, you guys are in Pennsylvania." Well, we're pretty close, but you have to understand, I'm here every week.
Yeah.
And being at your disposal. And I think we've kind of showed that in where we've been already.
We're fans. I mean, that's.
Just getting to, if you need me, that's just, sometimes people are like, "Well, I don't know if I want to bug them or whatever," but that's not what we're about.
Right.
We want you to call and
Absolutely.
ask questions, and, be it as silly that somebody might think the question is. Most times it's a pretty good,
If you don't know the answer, no question is silly. That's
exactly. Yeah.
It resonates with us too, because it's like, we're the same way, like if I shot you that picture and the text about cleaning out the glue pot,
Yeah.
like I want clients to text us stuff like that. Like, "Oh, hey, what do you think about this?" Or whatever.
Don't clean with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you just run across one of them?
We always do. We always do.
Yeah,
Nobody ever owns up to it either.
Yeah.
And we can tell. We're like,
something weird's going on with the countertop. It's like a little bit rough. I'm like, what have you been cleaning it with? Because we have a sign outside that's been out there for 6 months. It wasn't as rough as the countertop.
yeah. I mean, we've done some torture testing.
Yeah.
So we know like something's not right.
Yeah. You know firsthand of what
But
should be.
But you do it, you just, you smile and
Oh, yeah.
because that's part of being a good steward of your business and, fostering relationships and all that stuff.
Some people might not always appreciate it or have it there, but I think once you really have to fall on it, you understand the importance and the value of it.
Yeah. It all comes around in the end.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, we've been cranking stuff out in the shop. That's for sure. It's
been a lot of people are slowing down, it seems like, but we've been rather busy. So
yeah, we don't look at an elevator panel the same anymore. It's like one of those things we were talking about, like how you see it now. It's like, oh, look at these elevator panels.
Yeah. I know that guy that used to make those.
Yeah.
But it's pretty crazy on the. Yeah, we just did a lot of moving around within the last year at the shops. So
yeah, shop used to be at the back end of the building, and I had the guys draw. We do all these drawings. We draw plants and lines, and said, "Why don't you guys draw my building? Because I don't have one." So they drew the building, and I started looking at it. I don't know, it just clicked on me. We're bringing everything in this door, and we're taking everything out the same door. But I wouldn't tell you to do that. So we sat down, we had several meetings, and we decided we were going to change it. So we moved the shop from the back to the front. Everything comes in the back door, and it goes out the front door. Not quite there yet, but that's where we're headed. So that was quite an undertaking, moving everything.
Moving anything in 80,000 square feet.
Yeah, and they put in a machine shop. The one area we had was a used parts room, and we got rid of that because we just weren't making any money at it. So we turned that into a machine shop for them, and we had a pit where you back in to unload trucks, and we never hardly used it, so we filled that in. That was quite an adventure. So it's all concrete now, and
wow.
So we actually made more room there. So yeah, we still have some more work to do, but I kind of put the brakes on it. I'd spent enough money. So.
Yeah, it never ends.
What'd you do with all the old parts?
Most of them went to the scrap guy. The boys went through and they figured out what they wanted to keep, electronics and stuff. And they're a company that takes all the old electronic stuff and they give you so much a pound or whatever. We ship that stuff off so it'll be recycled. And then a lot of stuff just went to the scrap guy.
Yeah, it made me think because yesterday I went through a bunch of stuff. We were moving this old shelving unit to make some space, and upstairs in our little cubby hole attic, went through some things, and it was just sort of like finding things you didn't know you had, and then finding a lot of junk that's like, this is just junk. You got to throw this away, you know. And,
you always think that there'll be somebody someday that's going to want it.
Yeah,
but we just didn't find that was working out too well for us.
No, we can't store everything.
Right. And we just felt like we could make a better use of that space for a machine shop.
Yeah.
So we just scrapped the project. So.
Yeah. Quite an array of machines now in the machine shop. And
what do you guys, all metalworking machines?
Yeah, that's metalworking.
Yeah. So we have a couple CNCs in there.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. The rubber machine for the Oliver bandsaws and gear machines and smaller lathes, CNC lathes. So it's it's quite the
thorough.
Yeah, and everything that we're doing, it lends itself that
you have to make a part. You need all the stuff to make it, right?
Yeah, right. And then we have our fabrication side where we're making all different things from the fab side. So between guarding and we have plasma cutter, couple paint booths, now areas just for we can handle the biggest piece of equipment coming in.
I had metal shop in high school.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we had a lathe. I remember that. I made a screwdriver and all kinds of.
That was my shops. I took all because I was always embedded in the wood industry. So at a young age, so I was like, I'm gonna.
But I remember because you're the lady turning that little dial and squirting a little bit of oil on there.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at how they let us kind of run free in those shops.
Well, that goes back to the safety questions we were talking about earlier.
Like we were arc welding and oxyacetylene welding, and and the teacher was like your football coach. You know what I mean? Like it was up reading the paper while you were out there with all these tools, and like your buddy would do some welding in his little cubicle, and then he'd go off to like do something like you'd heat up his thing before he comes back.
I don't remember that was that hot before. It was funny. One time we were coming into metal shop. We always came into like the shop and we'd go about our, what we were going to do. And shop teacher, Mr. Schiffer, goes, everybody in the office today. And he's got his shop. He always wore a shop coat and stuff.
Yeah.
One sleeve missing. So he goes, we're going to talk about shop safety today on the lathes. He actually got lucky that he pulled back and it ripped the whole sleeve off. Of course, all the shop guys were having a ball with it back then. And that's the first time. And, guys having stuff fly off the lathes and all kinds of stuff.
It's crazy, right? Like nobody ever got hurt, really. And,
we got lucky.
You're right. I mean, like mixing gas, nobody was around checking to see if you had the gas and oxygen levels right. You just did it. They told you what it was supposed to be. You checked out your striker and from the tool thing.
You learned to jump out of the way. It was like, or you learned how to take a punch pretty good.
Yeah. Right. Can't get away with a lot of stuff these days.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just the lack of training coming through, unless somebody's coming from a, industrial school program.
Right.
They got rid of it and all the homeschool type of stuff. And they don't know.
I didn't have wood shop or anything. Wood shop was already gone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my second or last class following me in school, they finally nixed, all of our programs.
I mean, I was lucky because I just went to like a regular school, public school, and I did metal shop.
Yep.
I could weld. I could, turn, the forging, and things like that. We did like lost wax casting.
Yep.
Yeah,
we had the same. Our school was the same way, but then they were trying to gear everybody going to, they'd have like maybe 5 schools, that were more academic focused. And then they were trying to push, the vocational stuff all to one school. And, those 4 or 5 schools feeding that vocational side. But,
what a shame. I mean, really, what a shame.
Well, they have to, the school has to hit these test scores in order to qualify for this, so then they say, wow, machine shop's really not helping us on these, state test scores. So might as well just get rid of it.
Yeah. What a mistake in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah.
And not even for career oriented reasons, but just for the there's so much to be learned in these,
and it helps you
jokes
develop,
aside from all the goofing off.
Especially just think about how many kids are going into engineering, but they're really not going to be full hands-on, but really understanding the process of what goes into it. That makes that much better of an engineer.
Oh, yeah. Christopher he had these 2 brothers that worked for me for like 10 years from the time they were like in 7th grade. And, when they eventually went to college, they stopped. But the younger one became a mechanical engineer. And he was in these like hands-on shop environments. And he was like, they were like trying to cut stuff like with a hacksaw and the blades in backwards, just like silly things. Like nobody knew anything except him. Yeah. He was the only kid that knew any practical, knowledge.
Yeah, it's definitely a changing environment and has been.
Yeah.
So all in all, it's what else did we have going on? It was a pretty big project. We just finishing up that, what was that, 282 in there?
That's a 382.
382.
Yeah, it's a high-speed rough lumber planer. And,
oh, wow.
It goes 300 feet a minute, 30 inches wide.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this would be cool. Let's do like a hypothetical. So like, we've been planing all this pine, and we have that little 15-inch Powermatic, which I think is it 18 is on the high speed?
I think it goes 16 and 30.
No, it's definitely not 30.
No,
it must be 16 and 18 or 18 and 20 or something like that. Feet per minute.
And per what is the
I don't know
cut?
What the max.
Usually that's the other thing.
Yeah, it's
how much you can actually take off for that.
Yeah.
So
it's only 3 horsepower. So it's got to be like
it's not going to take much.
a 16th is probably the most that we would take.
Yeah.
If let's say we wanted to get a new planer, new or used, replace that planer, and you guys know what we do, what would you recommend? Like if we want something that's fast, like that's the main thing, is it's too slow. We're standing there, 300 board feet. It's like half a day.
We're just, he's on one end and I'm on the other end. We're just sort of like looking at our watches.
It's just too fast for one guy, but way too slow for 2 guys.
Most people in a smaller cabinet shop would have like a 24-inch. We sell the Oliver, like your the import one, with the insert cutters. So you don't have to worry about grinding out. Is your straight knife or
it's insert?
Helical. Yeah, and I don't know the speeds on those off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. It'll be faster than that.
Yeah,
but at some point, speed doesn't really. You can't go too much faster depending on the finish you want to get. If you want to get a furniture grade finish, you're probably not going to go much more than 30 feet per minute, but it'll do that.
Well, we're buying everything rough. So it's like, that 8/4 stock came in like, 2 1/8. A lot of it was maybe even heavier. So like we're getting to the planer at over 2 inches. I got to come down to 1 3/4. So with that planer, I mean, it's a long process.
A lot of work.
Well, the other thing you could do with that as well is you could add a second unit and put them end to end. If the 2 of you are working together, just put a set of rollers, in between
one and then send it back.
Yep.
Yeah.
You put them end to end or side by side, and one guy's just
if you have the floor space to do that, you could do that.
That's one way to handle it without. It would speed the process, and you wouldn't be into a huge investment, but at least you're doubling it up with the 2 of you working anyway.
Yeah.
What's the what's the cut on that 382, Ron?
How much will it take off?
Yeah.
Probably. Well, I'd say probably an 1/8 inch each side or something like that if you wanted to.
Yeah. At 300 feet.
Yeah.
So
At 300 feet a minute.
it's pretty fast.
That's like shooting out. That's like an arrow coming out.
Maybe not quite that fast, but it's pretty fast.
That's 5 feet a second, no?
Yeah, I think that would equate to that. Yeah.
That's fast.
And it's all fed automatically. You
Yeah.
have material handling coming to it, a conveyor. The guy just flips it on the conveyor and it takes off.
And what's the process for keeping the board like flat and removing twists and cups and things like that inside that machine?
No, there is none.
It's just two things and it just goes shooting through.
Right.
Two heads.
So if you set it to have your finish at 1 13/16 or 13/16, 15/16, whatever, it's just going to cut it to that. If it's got this wave to it,
Files it.
it's going to have that coming out.
Yeah.
It might take a little bit of it off, but the only way you can really straighten a board is to have the whole board on the table and then go like a jointer.
It's a joiner, yeah.
And the stratoplaners do that. So that was the design of the original stratoplane, the Oliver that we talked about. Because in the old furniture companies, they cut the boards to length first and then put them through. So you had 24-inch long piece. You could get the whole thing on the table before it went through the cutter head. And you could straighten it. Hence the name stratoplane. But the Newmans, they never looked to straighten the board. They just wanted to get them to dimension and surfaced as fast as they could. So
That's like the main reason that we don't buy things surfaced is because, even O'Shea, which you guys, service their stuff, they're going to send it through that thing and it's whatever it went in, it's coming out, pretty much the same. So
yeah, and they use Olivers, but again, they're running it long length. So there's really not much opportunity to straighten it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was one of my first lessons when I was starting out. Because when I started, I was really, really green. Like I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what I didn't know. And I bought, S4S lumber figuring, why not?
Mm-hmm.
But then when it came to assembly and things like that, then you start seeing the discrepancies and the flatness and things like that. And every job you do, you get your lumps.
Right.
And you go, oh, I got to do this instead of that.
Right.
I did everything the hard way at first.
Right. Because you learned it.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
But so I started jointing and planing really early on.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, I have no other choice.
You want it straight. Yeah.
How could you not do it? This was my thought.
Well, a lot of the big shops, they'll run it through the rough planer, rip it to width and length, chop it to length, and then might go through a molder. And then that takes care of the straightening process at that point. So they run it they call it hit and miss planed. So they're just getting it down. They're going to miss the thin spots.
Right. Yeah.
Then you chop that out or,
Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, typically the missed parts are going to still clean up in the molder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Our process is, usually we get the rough lumber in, we'll spread it out and select what parts, what boards are going for what part.
Yeah.
Mark it out, chop it rough, with the miter saw, join it, plane it, sticker it, and then, repeat as necessary.
Right. And the bigger guys don't have the luxury of being able to do that. So they sacrifice, yeah, but they sacrifice some yield in order to get production.
Oh yeah. And what we do, every job is different. If you're Meridian and you're making cabinet doors, okay, we need 10,000 linear feet of 2 1/4 inch wide maple. We're not doing that. So everything is so specific that it
totally
makes more sense to do it this
totally
slow way.
customized. Yeah. You're doing it the right way for what you're doing.
Right.
For sure.
It's funny. I'm still amazed at like what machines can do, and not even like the $1 million machine that I don't even comprehend.
Yeah.
Just like things that are like next level of machines we have in the shop.
Right.
You know, like, holy cow. Something does that?
Like when we got that drill press, the
Right.
Nova Voyager, you know, full digital control. I mean, like, man, this is like such a different experience versus the drill press that we had before.
Right.
Tells you like you tell what bit, what material, it tells you the speed. I mean, it doesn't even tell you the speed. It sets the speed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to go from like 50 to 5,000 RPMs just with the turn of a dial.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the technology and just coming into the smaller tooling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like the helical cutter heads. You know,
Oh,
those
yeah.
inserts. I mean, that was just like,
Game changer.
Oh, yeah.
oh, it's huge. Yeah.
Now router bits, insert router
Yeah.
bits just
Yeah.
for a regular 1/2 inch or even 1/4 inch, router.
Yeah.
When we had that old Yorkville planer. My first planer was York Craft. That's what
Your
it was.
craft. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
20-inch. And we put the helical head on it. It was like, why didn't I do this sooner? It went from to
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have never got rid of that thing.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was only the big machines had that in the beginning, and you could stand beside one of these Newman planers going 300 feet a minute and talk like we're talking now. But before that, when they had the straight knives, forget about it.
Oh, God.
Just drive you out of the building.
And the one thing I noticed, like I couldn't plane maple with the straight knives without clogging up my ducts because it would make these huge ribbons and it would clog the 6-inch duct work. And so I had like cut a hole up in it. I had this hole cut up where I could get like a stick in there and like push it through.
It'd suck in there.
Yeah, because that's what, it would hit this log jam. And once a couple of little things accumulate, it was over.
Yeah. And everything's backed up.
Yeah.
Here's another hypothetical. I don't know how hypothetical it is, but dust collection. So, we've been wrestling with, we're running 3 dust collectors because, when we moved in, we had the Oneida.
Really 4.
Oh, yeah, we do have 4. We picked up the Grizzly for the edge banner because we need some with a high CFM rating. We have the little Delta on the planer and joiner. And that's really the big issue is that because it fills up so fast. We must have emptied it, 6-8 times yesterday.
And it's a pain to empty those bag filters. Yeah. I mean, they're just...
Yeah, you need to really go to a bin dump style unit.
Yeah. So the one thing that we're contending with here is height. So looking at like some of these bigger central units, we only have like 11 and change at the corners of the building. So we haven't really been able to find something that seemed like it would service the entire shop, but still fit within, call it 11 feet of height.
Yeah, we'd have to look into that if there's any shorter ones.
Right.
I know the old Murphy Rogers used to make what they called a shorty, but they're gone. So
the thing I noticed in the small amount of time I spent looking is it limits the barrel size at the bottom. That's how they sort of bring the height down. So you got this big, powerful machine
with a 30 gallon.
Yeah, or 2, maybe like 2 little 30-gallon cans on the bottom.
Yeah, the height is going to be a problem.
That's where they trade it off.
Yeah,
yeah, we'd have to look at that a little deeper to see what you can do. Obviously, when you climb into something like that, now your cost is.
Oh yeah. I mean, saw what, a 7.5 horsepower Oneida.
Yeah, it looked like it fit, the requirements. It was like 4,000 CFM. And it had had 3 different ways to set it up. But where they sacrificed space was at the bottom end.
Right.
They just brought it down closer to the ground.
Well, you need a certain amount of airflow for the CFM, and that's where,
the cyclone has to be a certain height.
Yeah.
And then the motor's up on top.
Yeah, on something like that, you'd really be going through more of like a cross flow unit.
Like the Dust Tech type.
Yeah.
Is that
Because I
those
think we
square
can
ones?
I think we can put bins on the dust deck.
How do you get rid of your dust?
Put it in the dumpster.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
We used to just dump it back in the trees,
We
but
used to put it in the
we don't have the
yard.
luxury anymore.
Because the other way is bags. If you could somehow sell it or give it away to farmers or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
It's a lot of times it's mixed. Like, doing these doors, we had some really, really nice pine shavings. Like if you had a guinea pig or something like that,
right.
we had 100 gallons of that stuff, right? I mean,
yeah, we're like 8 or 10, 30, what are they, 30-gallon bags?
yeah. It was really nice and clean and fluffy and
Mm-hmm.
unadulterated. But a lot of times it's mixed,
Yeah.
So you got particle boards and things with it.
Well,
Yeah, like if it's running, if
From
we
the
had
planer.
a central dust collection, you got, the dust coming off of the panel material and the edge bander. And so,
Right.
it would be a mixture.
Yeah,
of all
At that
different
point,
things.
you can't
No.
give it to the
Yeah.
farmers. So.
And I think walnut's no good for
Yeah,
horses.
It's not good for horses. Yeah,
and we can't store stuff unless somebody's coming by every day.
got to go.
I mean, yeah, we got firewood that we have to get rid of. We have to put the calls out. It's like, all right, friends, come and get your stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Otherwise,
you
don't
can't
get it.
come. All right, I'm
Yeah.
calling the next guy.
Yeah.
Next on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. We try and entice them. We go, we'll let you go through the quality scrap barrel if you come and take the firewood.
Yeah.
The premium
Premium
scraps.
cutoffs.
You got to get a discount, but you got to take this sawdust with you.
Yes. That's what we do to our friends.
Just drive it down the street, dump it in the bay.
Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you guys would be the prime resource, if we started researching something like that seriously.
Yeah. We can look at it when you.
We did see a dust tech when we bought that. A guy was selling I think it was a 10 horsepower,
Mhm.
3-phase dust tech. But this is the problem like that we had with trying to find a compressor, trying to find a dust collector. They're not hooked up.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to come buy this this dust collector from you, and I can't see it run. Like,
yeah, you don't know if it works.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, we don't have 3-phase power. I'm like, well, then where did you get this from?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
He-
That's
He picked
red
it up
flag.
at a sale or
Mhm.
something. Thought it was really cheap.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Like when we saw you showed me those Emax compressors. I was like, so if this is legit,
that guy still hasn't seen the message. You guys ever heard of the Emax compressors? You guys don't really deal in compressors, right?
No, not really.
So they're same like a reciprocating compressor like the Quincy. They're made in Ohio, but these ones didn't have that silent air, but they have an intake that goes on the back that it lowers the decibels to like 70 or something
Yeah.
really quiet. But they're really cool. We were looking at them before we got that. The guy has 2 of them up for $300 a piece. It's like it's like a $4,500 compressor. Probably.
Wow.
yeah. Well, this can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or he didn't do his research or they're
Mhm.
junk, right? That's sometimes when it's too cheap, you're more scared to buy it than
Yeah.
if the price
Yeah.
was.
It's like that parking spot in New York.
We were just in there this morning.
This can't be a spot. What's
Right.
wrong? There's
Yeah.
got to be something wrong
Yeah,
with this
right.
spot.
How can it be empty?
Yeah.
I did that yesterday. We were going over by the Holiday Inn Express. I'm trying to just find. I'm like, wait a minute. I remember when you said that. This is empty. Look for a sign. There's
Yeah.
got to be something around here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was this morning they just let us in and they opened the garage door and we drove our cars right into the bottom.
Yeah,
of the building.
I don't know where we would have parked if we had to go see them.
Yeah, there was nothing around. It was right by the post office too. So you got
Oh, on 8th Avenue or 7th Avenue over there?
It was 46th
40.
in Queens.
Oh, you're in Queens.
46th Road, I think it was called.
I thought you were talking about in Manhattan, the main post office there
Oh, no.
by Madison Square Garden.
I'm sure
that
that's
area.
Yeah, I can't imagine that
Penn
one.
Station.
No, we weren't anywhere close to that.
Yeah.
I just called him up and said, "Can I park inside like I did the last time?" And he came down, and opened the door. We had to go around the block again, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that worked out really nice. Or we would have still been
yeah, we might still be looking.
Yeah,
on the block.
Exactly.
That's the worst. We went to and helped out Ed over at Hayfla they had, they started carrying these Century wood products now, which they make like your trash pullouts and stuff like that. And they needed somebody to install them. So he was like, yeah, well, there's commercial parking out front. I'm like, I don't know about that. So we just took the ferry in.
Yeah.
The subway, packed real light.
Now, how long does it take you to get there doing that?
The ferry is about 45 minutes.
Okay.
It's a straight shot right to New York City. Like if you guys drove to the end of the street, you could see New York City right there. So it's like what, three streets this way, go down to the water. There's a ferry terminal and there's a couple within like a 5-mile radius of here. And it just goes straight to Wall Street. This one, 45 minutes.
Better than driving it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice ride.
Is there a lot of people with scooters and bikes that they take up to?
Couple.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple.
Yeah. I flagged down a guy yesterday. I was like, how many miles you getting out of this little, just skateboard style scooter, and he's like, I get about 15 miles out of it. So, depending on where you're burning around for the day. And
yeah, it's not bad.
of course he was walking it up the hill
Yeah.
that we were on. So I don't think it'd be driving my big ass around.
you might not get 15 miles out.
Yeah.
7 maybe.
In the city now, they have the city bikes, and do they have scooters in New York?
Like that you could just jump on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Saw the
definitely have
city
city
bikes.
bikes. This
Yeah.
morning yesterday it was right where we were at.
Yeah, so we saw a couple people like we get off the ferry and then they went right to the city bikes, got a bike, and then they probably bike over to their office or whatever.
That's like the hotel only had about 15 parking spots in the bottom there. I guess most people probably get a cabin or whatever.
Uber, train.
Uber,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely tight.
The ferry's nice though. It's like, it's 150 feet long, got nice chairs, tables.
So you can actually do a little
TVs.
bit of work and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's a smooth ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not choppy at all, really.
And it's like it's jet propulsion. So it's like a big jet ski and it's a catamaran. So it just cuts through. It's
Nice.
Yeah.
So when our New York customers see the big BK coming through on his scooter, I'll be hauling Ed on the back from Hayflip. Look, the funniest thing we saw, these two big ass guys freaking running.
Yeah. Ed taught us the subway transfer.
Yeah.
You got to jump on the IRT to get up to Hayfler's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's another 15 minutes or so.
Take the 2 or the 3
Yeah.
to 14th and then the 1.
The 23rd.
Yeah, pretty crazy what it takes to get in there.
Yeah.
You got to really know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you don't want to look too
Yeah.
Green.
yeah.
Be looking around like,
Oh, golly geez.
look at this guy.
Just like I pictured it.
Yeah, and then you have the others. Wonder how big his wallet is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Fortunately, we don't look like we have much.
We did say though, so we were there 2 weeks ago to help him out install that stuff, and then the following week we were there for the lighting class, and like no crazy people on the subway at all. We had a couple subway rides, nothing sketchy at all.
We only really saw one down and out homeless person.
Yeah.
Like passed out, face down kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, it was pretty respectable. It was, a little dirty as far as like the street debris and stuff like that. But
I mean, granted, we were in pretty good neighborhoods too.
yeah. But
If you get into some of the shadier.
Yeah, we were in Wall Street and Flatiron.
Yeah, I didn't expect too much sketchiness there.
I thought at least on the subway, maybe.
Yeah.
But, because people are passing through. But yeah, it was.
Never been on that.
Oh, you've never been on the subway?
Never been on the subway.
It's not anything. I mean, like, what's Jimmy DeResta's brother's name again? John? Yeah. This guy we know, he was a transit cop in New York in the 80s. And when we went up to Maker Camp, which you guys probably should check out.
Oh, yeah.
The 80s were prime time for storytelling. Like if you lived in New York and you rode the subways and did everything. And so we were just laughing at each other's stories because there was just so much stuff that you know, it's like a skit, like on Saturday Night Live, the ridiculousness and stuff like that.
You think somebody made it up, but it was all real, right?
It's like, you know, it's like you get on the subway and it's like, oh, look, there's a seat. And then you go over there like, no, somebody decided they would have to go to the bathroom.
Doesn't look so enticing now. Right. I'll just stand.
No wonder everybody is on this side of the car. Like, you know, this is what would be your daily thing. Yeah. So,
yeah, pretty funny because I was saying to Derek, I was like, yeah, some of the areas it looks a little sketchy going in. And I'm typically not. I grew up working in the city and stuff, so I really wasn't, you know, scared of that kind of stuff. And he's like, Dad, you're the 250-pound tattooed guy.
Yeah,
coming in. I don't think
they're looking at you sideways.
Yeah. Are we going to attack him or is he going to attack us? I said, yeah, good point.
Right. When you walk in the subway car, everybody looks down.
Yeah, so that's my territory. So yeah, so coming from here, leaving the ferry.
Yeah, what was it? Ed was saying because you know he used to be a salesman and he had parts of the city. I forget where he said it was like a real rough neighborhood, and you know, like the school.
Oh, up in the Bronx,
the school would let out.
Yeah,
and it'd just be like a sea of unruly kids, and he's like, I'm going to have to change like the timing as to when I'm going to these shops.
Yeah.
It was up in the Bronx. Yeah. Yeah, there were some scams like, you know, in traffic, you know, you always had the squeegee guys and everything like that, but they always had these people selling stuff like, this is back when cordless phones for your house was like a novelty thing.
That was
so they had them in boxes, but what they do is they get a shrink wrapper. And so, you know, they're out there hawking this stuff, and it's basically a box with, you know, scraps of wood or something inside.
Oh,
it's just shrink wrapped to look like it's brand new.
Oh, wow.
You know,
that was the hustle for the corner.
That was the hustle
because nobody could get turned around fast enough to actually. Yeah, by the time
you'd be done.
You're not going to come back and argue.
Yeah, it's coming through the expressway there, and when you're just coming into the city out from Long Island, and you have the ladies that are standing on the concrete Jersey barrier, you know, selling drinks and stuff, and it's like, this is pretty sketchy. Yeah. You just had to come across 4 pretty crazy lanes of traffic to get over here to begin with. You know, so
we have to take the BQE. We don't get to see those sites.
No.
Oh, that's right, because of the van.
Yeah.
It
was. I mean, it seems more innocent than, you know what I mean? Yeah. Even though there was all this kind of craziness going on, like when you'd use the ATM, they were always open and somebody was always holding the door open because they knew you were getting cash.
Oh, yes. So, here you go. Come on in.
Yeah, come on.
Let me help you out.
I have to remember all these things. I'm going to have to get a Cliff Notes book.
Yeah.
Like I've been on the outskirt edges of a lot of stuff. So it's, you know, going in, a couple of places I've gone in, I was like, I got to rethink this one a little bit. How I'm going to get in here. I was like, I'll wait till it's summer and I don't have to worry about walking, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of places. And I was just trying to even get a place to pay to park.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that you can even attack an area. It's pretty nuts.
I know.
But even to some of my other territories, you know, I was just in one kind of suburbs of like Stowe, Massachusetts, and it was an old factory. And there was literally the one building had like 6 guys in it, different, all 4 floors. And actually one of the like floors was split in half with just the makeshift plywood wall. You could see right over it, you know, so they had shops on either side, 2 different guys. And, you know, the next building had 3 shops in there and 4 floors again.
Very convenient.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was funny because the first guy I went into, he's like, oh, let me show you around. You got to see that's such and such over here. And he's on the second floor. And then this guy's on the third floor at the other end of the building. You know, it was pretty crazy. It was neat how everybody was, you know, everybody had their own work.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, and they were actually, this guy, he goes, yeah, I give him like $5 that I can go over and use his, you know, I don't have that edge sander. So I go over there and, you know, for
that's handy.
Yeah. So they worked together pretty well. It was just kind of neat. You know, one guy just did finishing on the one floor and he was finishing for all the other guys.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, where do you? He goes, oh, well, Joe over here. And then Elwood down there, I do all his finishing work. So it, you know, it makes sense because they were networking within this building. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That would be a good,
like a co-op.
Yeah. Pin out. Like if you were a finisher and you know that there's all these guys working there, you go, hey, how about I move in here?
Yeah, it'd be a good place to set up. Yeah.
And it really makes sense because most of them were working by themselves or just like another helper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really wasn't, everybody was really one man band type stuff. So.
That was like that maker space that's where we bought that dust collector.
The Army Terminal, is that what they call it?
Yeah, or Army Yard. Yeah, you could rent like a little cubicle, or they had what they call them, studios.
Yeah, it was like a room,
like a little 10 by 12
smaller
room.
than this.
Yeah, but they were guys that like they work out of that. You know, they have like some shared machines, and you can have your own stuff in your own space. But yeah, like there's guys like running businesses out of those.
Like they had a shop that's like our old shop.
Okay.
And
yeah, with they got a table saw and a bandsaw and a drill press, and you have access to in the one across the street they had a CNC, a flatbed CNC.
Oh yeah.
Some lasers, like a Tormac, like what do you call that? Is that like a like a metal 5-axis?
Oh yeah,
like enclosed CNC, welding stuff. And, you get access to different stuff based on how much you pay.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. You have the base model where, you just get the table saw and all the stuff in there.
Or you got to bring your stuff and take it home.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder who does the programming on a 5-axis machine. Does the guy have to learn how to do that himself? Or?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Huh.
Probably comes with the cost of things.
Yeah,
it's probably somebody that
if
you
runs
got a program that's going to be
you're going to pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I think the base number was like $300 a month.
Yeah.
And that was just
to come in there.
Yeah. And just use like the basic wood shop type tools.
And everything. That's kind of a neat idea.
That is a neat idea.
I mean,
Almost like an
$300 a month in the
incubator
city
type
is not
thing.
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah, it was funny. I was up in Passaic a couple of weeks ago, and I knew this shop was here, but in our system, it never got put in that this company's on the 4th floor of this building. So, like, the address is just like unified. Like, there's a Mexican restaurant, store there, trucking, mechanics, and then nestled in this whole thing, I had to go down this 1.5 wide alley. There was a dead end. And I just was aimlessly going. There's no signs or anything.
Good place to get
I
ambushed.
opened this, I opened this door to the stairwell, and it's just like, there's just birds in here and everything else. I'm like, there can't be anything in here. Started going up. I started hearing machines running. Well, I get to the 2nd floor. There's a shop there. There's a shop on the 3rd floor, and big shops. And then I get all the way to the 4th floor, and it's just like, wow, this was.
Do they have elevator access?
I think they have like a freight elevator, that went in, but they had bought a used edge banner, pretty good size unit, and they had to get a crane and everything to bring it up and, open the backside of the building up.
And we thought we had problems.
Yeah.
It was,
That's where they move them in those high rises in New York City. They'll just knock a hole in the wall, crane it in, and hook it up.
How do you get it like? It had to swing in, because you can only get so much of.
Yeah, some of the stuff is articulating, but depends. Who was telling us that story with the downtown? The CNC router was delivered, and
there was I don't remember who the supplier was, but somebody told me a story. They sold a CNC router to somebody in New York City, and they hired a rigger to move it in. The machine showed up, the rigger showed up. The rigger didn't realize it was like on the 5th floor, so he just left. So the machine's there, and there's a rigger. I don't know if you ever heard of Pedowitz. Mm-hmm. He's a big time rigger from New York City.
That might have been who we reached out to about picking up the machines from IRS.
Yeah, so they called him, and he's been around a long time, so he's connected. He called the cops. They shut down the street. He pulls up with his crane, picks it up, puts it in the hole in the wall, and he left. I'm sure the bill was pretty big, but
Scotty, like the emergency locksmith.
It's just the price to go pick up 2 machines in Pennsylvania for us was like something crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was like 6 times what we paid.
Yeah. Well, freight and rigging is expensive.
Yeah, I bet.
And I know Scotty Petowitz, the owner, and he's not bashful, but he's good.
Yeah, that's what you need a lot of times, though.
Yeah. Ours was a pretty simple. They would have taken it off and put it in here and everything. We had to do all that, but we just paid some guy with a trailer.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Make sure you get an extra bonus when it actually shows up.
Yeah.
That's extra. If it has to actually show up, you picked it up. Yeah.
Actually, luckily, IRS auctions, they referred us to like a, what would you call it? It's like a
broker.
Yeah, exactly.
Broker.
Yep. Yeah. So then they got us in touch with somebody else, and
there's a lot of they call them hot shots, and they have a pickup truck with a trailer behind them.
Yep.
Bring your stuff over. We use those sometimes too.
Yeah. Yeah, that worked out nice. But then when we sold the Edge Bander, the guy just hired some guy with a trailer. So he brings like a car trailer, I guess, kind of.
Yeah,
but
landscapey kind of thing. No, landscapers have the.
Yeah, those hotshot trailers have, the flatbed, the wheels are below it.
That's right.
Right.
The wheels were above it. So it made for a very difficult.
We had to have all this blocking so we could, set it down with the forklift so it would be higher than the wheel wells. So
we took the fenders off. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a mess.
Cool.
Yeah. But that Edge Bander ran like a dream that day. I mean, the sun was shining on us.
All the stars aligned for.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we still came out in the red, but
not so bad. It made it palatable.
Yeah, I mean, it was worth the $500 that we sold it.
Yeah,
just in scrap metal.
Yeah,
probably worth about $350.
Right,
and they got rid of it.
Yeah.
That a lot of times is half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had to get rid of it too to make room.
Yeah.
Couldn't house it.
I mean, we did spend about 90 minutes with that guy with the trailer.
Yeah.
It was like, must have been his first time ever loading something, strapping it down.
He had to unwrap his new
ratchet straps.
That was a signal.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Well, he said they dropped it unloading it.
Yeah. So that was, the whole thing went our way because now anything that was wrong with the machine could be blamed on
That's true.
That was the rigger's fault.
It was really
usually
meant to
dropping
be.
the machine doesn't do very well for it.
Yeah.
Messing up.
Especially something like that with all those moving parts and the delicate electrics and the pneumatics.
Yeah.
Might as well just call the scrap guy right then.
Yeah. Just come and
hey,
get
this thing's over on Pine and Hurst. Can you?
And he was like, "You think I could use it just to put the edge banding on, and then I'll do all the trimming and everything by hand?" I'm like, "Hey, you knock yourself out.
If that's what you want to do."
Like for $500, you could probably, get like a little.
What was that? Maxiwa?
Maxiwa, yeah. Even that was more than 500, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, the Festool one for a couple grand. I mean, it worked well for us for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we did some jobs. We did sizable jobs with that thing.
Yeah. Doesn't always come out, perfect.
No.
But
The funniest thing is when we were firing up that Monday and running, and you're looking at the end, and it's like, I don't even have to touch it.
Yeah, because it's the post work that's really the
and you can never
labor.
get it. You can never.
It's never like that. No, the best case scenario with the Festool's a great machine. I mean, it's a nice machine, but it just doesn't come out like the Edge Bander.
Too much user input.
Yeah,
You're physically feeding this thing in, and any little variation in pressure. You know,
Yeah, you're trying to like be as consistent as possible. You're all tensed up. You're like
You trip over the extension cord.
I mean everything. You're just like you're holding your breath the whole time. Like you get a good run. You're like,
and if it's a wide piece, you know, you're trying to feed this thing, and you're really far from the machine, and it's brutal.
Well, you made the right choice.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we've run a decent amount of band. I mean, like we said when we bought it, like we go through periods where we'll edge band a lot, and then it's going to sit for a while. I mean, the only thing I've been edge banding is this stuff for my kitchen. But this pre-finished cherry, I mean, we haven't had to touch anything. Everything that's come off of it.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's all in the tuning.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
I get into so many places that they just could have it tuned better, but they're just scared to or not making the adjustments, and they're wasting so much tail end time. You know,
that's the
back
joy.
over every
You
part.
know, not having to do all that. That's
The object is to go from bander to assembly. You know, and you know those are the little things that I was just in a shop Monday, end of the day, and problems with an older bander. You know, it was like a 2007 model, and you know I ran through a couple things with them and throwing all kind of error codes, and you know all the I'm looking at all the pads are worn to the bare minimum. It's barely dragging this thing over the metal, part of the bander, and they're running 3 millimeter, and I'm like, everything that was coming off, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I can't believe you guys are doing, and they were running a lot of work, but I was just spending days going through stuff. And
they like building like office furniture.
They mostly medical. So pretty much
those
everything is
like 3 millimeter. Like those are like the only areas where you see that. Like I don't feel like even the 2 millimeter was
thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really today you can get away. Most everybody, even the big manufacturers, are going to 2 mil, 1 or 2 mil. 3 mil is you need one heck of a machine to really, if you're going to do any type of production work,
right.
Because it doesn't seem like much, but that extra banding and just trying to get it straightened out within the machine, it just takes really to do it well, a whole different animal. That you can feel comfortable with your work going on.
We just got some 1 5/8 1 millimeter riff saw in white oak. We have like a bunch of 1.5 stuff we need to do to match this apartment in Hoboken. So that'll be cool to run through there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The thing with the edge bander is it kind of having it, even if it's not being used, every single day, it's there to, sort of create this opportunity for us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So we can bid on work and accept work with this machine in our shop. Otherwise, you can't go in the other direction. You got to take the risk.
Yes.
It is
first.
kind of what we did. We bid the job that we banded, on the setup day. It's like we bid that job under the pretense that we were going to buy an edge bander.
And it worked out.
Yeah, it did. With your help.
Yeah.
Good.
Here again, that's what we're here for.
That's right.
8 o'clock. And we're
8
running
o'clock,
those
we're
parts.
still.
Yeah,
but that made the excitement of the job a little bit more,
With that compressor.
Yeah, that's what was amazing, really.
Yeah.
That
24 gallons.
That compressor, I can't say enough about that compressor.
Yeah.
I love that thing. I mean, I hate it, but I admire it, I'll say.
It did more than I thought it would do.
Yeah.
And
that was after we just did those boxes, with like 10 days of it running straight.
Oh, yeah, with the laser.
Yeah. And we did 1,000 boxes in the fall. So it was like double that. It was like 3 weeks of just like basically running 8 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to stand by it. Waiting for something to blow off.
But yeah, I mean, and it runs great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that Quincy is
another animal.
Yeah. And we got that first song. So
it's the Quincy's like half the volume, it seems, as that machine.
Yeah.
And you hear it hasn't even come on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's you're powered up and have that standby. The volume is what's really key to that. You know, just relying on pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The 3/4 line going over there straight to the edge bander.
Did it just like you taught us.
Yeah, it's been any big projects you guys got coming up?
So we just ordered all those doors for a kitchen down in Brick, which is like half hour south of here, with a designer who we've worked with. I mean, I've known her since like 2015, 2016. You probably, was that the first job you worked on her with?
Yeah, with Docking, yeah.
And that's where Rob and I met, actually. So this is our first big job with her, which is good. She went out on her own like maybe about a year ago.
Oh, good.
So it's good. We've been trying to foster this relationship for a while. She finally went out on her own, so she's got a little more freedom now. We're doing that. We're going to have all the boxes cut by a guy up in Connecticut on the CNC. So trying out something new.
Yeah, this is a sort of a not experimental, but it could be another avenue for us. This is what we're trying to develop.
Yeah. I mean, if we can bust out a kitchen with this format in, call it 2 weeks,
right,
versus him and I doing it, and it's going to be 12 weeks because we're building all the doors, we're cutting all the boxes by hand, doing all the boring, everything, building the drawer boxes. It would be nice to be able to do that.
Yeah. There's more people that want this kitchen that we're building than the way we do it in-house.
Yeah.
And there's more money at the end of the day left for us in this style.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing like doing it the other way, where you're gray matching everything and look at this door and look at this drawer and blah, 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 blah. But
I got I have 8 doors and 4 drawer heads in there that I don't even know how many hours I have into them for my kitchen. It's a lot. It's a lot of time.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, we used to measure in months to do a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, the price from Meridian for, I don't know how many doors and fillers and panels and.
Yeah, it's 62 or 3 openings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even counting the moldings. Well, it does include the panels.
Right.
But it doesn't include any of the moldings or the fillers.
So really, what you really need, what is the unit that you're looking at to help you cut all those panels?
Striebig compact vertical panel saw.
Yeah, that would help out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we said, we're just getting into this software that's
Mosaic.
perfect for this style of work. It doesn't do everything that Fusion does.
Yeah.
But for this kind of casework thing.
Oh, yeah. It works really well for
that
type of work. And the renditions and stuff are pretty good.
Yeah. It's not as good as Fusion, but it's good enough. And it's
designed for that happy medium between everything, but really for the production side of things.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to.
I mean, you can put your pricing in there for the doors, for everything.
Yeah.
It'll spit out a number too,
Yeah, the more you load the front end of the machine.
That's what I'm just learning now.
With, so you put your material costs and everything in there. So now when you're designing that kitchen, you have a good idea. Oh, wow, it's, I'm going to have 40 sheets in this, and here's my price of those 40 sheets, So and the more you stay on top of that side of it, that's going to make the tail end of your job so much faster and easier because you can get it at a glance. So it's
great for estimating.
So when you go into your cut list on there, and you basically just do a simulation of what it's going to look like, and then what kind of waste and things that it's figuring out already. So then you can say, okay, well, that material is a little temperamental, so we're probably going to need about 3 or 4 more sheets, just with a waste factor that may happen, in there, and then have all your costing already because you can just add those to it, and it throws that in there.
It's got that great what if selection.
Yeah,
like you get your price, and then there's a button that literally says what if.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What if times 4?
Yeah. What if, you change frame and panel to slab, MDF? What, so, you change like the pearl opening thing. So you change a few parameters and it
all of a sudden kicks it out. Yeah. So
Wow.
that's where you're really going to find that you can, give your customer some options. Plus it's already giving you the door. So whatever door, if you're subbing out the door, it's already giving you that size to be able to give to that manufacturer.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm been trying to go at it pretty heavy. It takes me a little bit longer to pick up computer stuff.
Yeah. Well, don't be afraid, to get an hour or two with like the trainer that we used to use was Michael, and he was out of, Canada, and
The guy
his
that we
father
had
had
was
a
Canadian.
had a full shop,
Yeah.
and then, so he knows it,
Yeah.
and then you can, the nice thing with that is, they record that
Yes.
whole session,
Yeah.
and then you can just go back to it. So everything that's being done on your screen with him, is saved, and you can see exactly how you set the parameters up.
Yeah, we had like a 90-minute. They give you like a 90-minute intro. They set up, help you set up your library and stuff.
Yeah.
What was the guy's name? David Skinner.
Yeah.
He's a closet guy. He sounded like he was from Canada.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
After doing a job now, I'd love to, do that again. It's like every job I'd want to do that kind of thing, because like today I just figured out like the multi-print. I sent up the multi-print to the CNC guy. He's like, oh, it's blank. I'm like, oh. So I went through it. I'm like, what's going on here? Oh, you got to drag this to, from the little, I see it up here on the left, but how come the main sheets are blank? You didn't know you had to drag them over.
Yeah. It's those little things that you learn as you're going.
Right.
No, we always liked it. I thought it was a great program and very versatile and, was relatively easy to learn.
Yeah. We're more from the free drawing school.
Yeah.
That's why we see it as somewhat limited in that regard. But
well, you can go in and you can pick off any part then and do modifications to it. So you can, if you got, cabinet 3 and you want to put, outlet cutouts or something in the sides of that, that's very easy to do. But if you're not running to a CNC, it's, really not.
Right. Yeah. Getting into the shape editor and, that feature where you could, sort of draw.
Well, and if you're sending some of those parts and you're sending it to your buddy with the CNC, some of the other stuff too, you could put in there. If you needed templates or something for, say a countertop end or something like that you were doing, you can add that to your parts list when you send it to them. And that would be your template, coming in for whatever. So, keep that in mind as you're doing it. Because that's a great way of saying, hey, I'm already doing all that. And I needed these 3-inch radiuses and this big sweeping arc or what have you.
Yeah. Because it's by the, he charges by the sheet. So
we'll
see where there's a little waste will fit.
Yeah. Why not? And then you can kind of see.
A couple of those panels are big. So like 20 to 24, there's only like one piece on each of those. And there's all this waste. Because I was checking it out. I want to see because it shows you the percentage waste of the or the percentage not waste,
and then you can change that as well. Quite a bit depending on what you're doing. So
I think he has a Rover.
I
was looking on his website.
We have a nice used Rover.
Yeah.
Low hours and pretty nice machine. It's funny. I think that's a 2019 with only like 420 hours on company that it came from. They just did this one little cutting board thing and they just found that they could buy the part out, for the amount of time they had somebody they were running very limited. And it's a well-equipped machine, 12 tool changer, 21 spindle drill blocks,
What's something like that go for?
I think we have that. We just price dropped
that. 65 maybe.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot cheaper than I would expect.
Yeah.
What do they do? $250,000?
No, not that one.
No.
That one's probably 120 maybe.
130. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
like compared to
price.
like a 5x10 Laguna flatbed, you're talking like 50,000.
Right.
So just for like a little bit more than twice, you get something that's so much more capable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the nice thing, the way that one's set up, it's a 4x8 machine, but it actually has 4 zones of pins. So you can actually operate it all 4 zones at one time with a 0 point. So your pop-up pins, you could be locating 4 different style parts. So you can actually run that like a point-to-point style machine and, position a lot of stuff. So, say you were cutting, a big job and you only just really wanted to send your slides to it, you could be doing it that way for drilling operations and what have you. And then still all your other parts are not being cut and wasted.
Is that how you locate the sheet? There's pins that come up?
And the better you are at that 0 point, with your pop-up pins and what have you. And if you're, a lot of guys will use the rest of the table, but you're kind of positioned, you have to like drag on your sheet over and kind of position it. And then you might have some more wasted material, where this way you're cutting, with like a Striebig, and then you can just insert those parts to those, whatever location. And you could be pendulum. So you could put 4 parts on that machine and then it just goes and hits those 4 parts, and you could unload, as
So it's got 4 0 points.
Correct.
So when it finishes 1 and moves to 2, you're just putting a new part on 1.
Exactly.
It's going to keep working its way around.
Yeah. So, and a lot of machines don't have those features. So you're getting into a pretty industrial style machine with, especially with the 12 position tool changer as well, allows you to do more things with hardwood and things like that, you might be limited, say you were making some arched stuff and you said, I want to kind of keep that tooling set up and, I just have that in there and we can jump into it. If you're figure out if you're doing regular
What
pieces.
kind of air and dust collection does a machine like that call for?
Dust collection on that. What are you thinking on the CFM?
It's not a lot, probably 2,000 maybe.
But in your air, like you're pretty good now with air.
It's not a lot of air on that.
Yeah, I think we're at 22 CFM.
One of the other things is we were talking before about between, sawing stuff or routing stuff. When you go into routing nested base, especially it becomes an issue when you're grain matching. Now you're taking, really, you might as well figure, a 1/2 inch swath between those drawers or what have you, where, in the panel saw, you're taking an 1/8 inch.
Yeah.
And you're much closer to what the grain should look like matched up.
Even these doors that I just built, there's only 1/8 inch saw blade between.
And you can still see it sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if it's like a big cathedral, it really gets offset.
So that'll save the space too with the Striebig. You got the space savings, and it gives us more room. We can put that CNC in.
Yeah. Who's giving away the CNC?
We're building on the shop. I'm looking out for you.
We're gonna have to put it upstairs.
You hear that, CNC companies? You got to have a contest now.
Yeah.
There you go.
They're plugging away for the next machine.
I tell you, you should take a little trip down the Long Branch and plug that CNC machine down there. He's chomping at the bit for something like that.
I mean, man, $65K for that Rover. That sounds like a deal.
It is a deal. It really is. I mean, it's because, when you get into the lesser machines, you're not talking longevity, and then you have more things, your repeatability.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't realize. So, if you're talking about a $50,000 machine, a lot of times you're going to have repeatability issues from one corner to the other, height differences.
Oh, that's the stuff that's maddening.
Yeah.
Well, and that, depending on what you're trying to machine, it can really throw you a lot of curves.
I mean, that's why you spend the money, because you want repeatability. We want predictability, repeatability. That's what makes our lives easy.
I want that here, and I want it at home.
Yeah.
I'm not getting it at home, so at least I want it here. I want that air span to work, damn it. Because when I come home, it's all hell breaks loose. My wife wants to know why I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. It's like, well, because nobody else is up.
Yeah.
But it's funny. The last shop we were just at, I was talking to the assistant foreman, and he was saying, he goes, yeah, we start at 6, but I'm up at 4. I was like, you have a big commute. He goes, no, you don't understand. I get up at 4, I get my shower,
Yeah.
I make my breakfast, I watch my news for the day, you know, I start looking at, you know, whatever else. And he said, then I have a 7-minute commute.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
said,
he's a kindred spirit.
Yes.
We got to
Yeah.
get linked up with this guy.
Yeah, because like I go to bed like 8:30. I'm getting ready for bed. You know, depending on like my wife and I will be watching something on TV, and it's like, no, I don't have time for that because I'm gonna go to bed at 8. I got my book. You know, I'll read for a half hour. But 8:30, I want to be, you know, lights out. She's like, why you got to go to bed why are you waking up so early? Why do you got to do it? Like, you can stay up later. I'm like, no.
That's Rob time.
Yeah,
Rob
you
time.
don't get it. If I stay up later, it's you and me. But in the morning, that's me. That's all me.
Yeah,
funny.
4 o'clock. That's when I get up. 4 o'clock every day, even on the weekend.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
a good cycle. Yeah.
'cause then I hear that rustling upstairs. I'm like, all right, here it goes.
Got to get off work.
Piece is over.
And I love my wife. You know what I mean? So but it's one of those things.
Yeah, I can't deal with the wife in the morning.
Yeah.
My son, you know, he's still asleep, but if he wakes up, it's like I can deal with him. But my wife's just, she wakes up and she's like ready to go, you know, immediately. Talking a mile a minute. I'm like
the same thing.
I'm
That's
like,
why
this
it's like
is too much for me.
Wow.
It's like I gotta get out of here.
She came home
Gotta go to
last
work.
night, you know, and it's like 8 something. She's a hairdresser, so she gets home late. And I'm watching something on YouTube, and she's just like, I'm like, this is like, you're here right now. I'm here. Like I'm ready to fall asleep. You know, if I was asleep already, I'd be fine with it.
Too funny.
Oh man, that's the way it is.
Yep.
It's a good show. What's the name going to be of this show? We had the cool one, the hot rods and edge banders. We didn't touch on any of that stuff.
I don't know. We got a long one. We're at 2 hours, 36 minutes.
Oh man, we're like Rogan territory there.
Yeah.
People are getting their
love it.
money's worth out of this one.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
People like the long ones.
Yeah.
I did get the tunnel hall working pretty good though. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw any of the pictures. Oh, you're not on Facebook really.
No.
And I don't know if that went over to Instagram or not. So yeah, we got the 21 Daytona hooked up, and so far I'm at 88 mile an hour. So
Wow.
we're still tuning. So I still can't get away from my adrenaline rush. That's
No.
my biggest thing. I've been that adrenaline junkie for all these years, and it's like,
That's a tough one.
Yeah. You ever try kite surfing?
no, because I'm scared of heights.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got a great story with Ryan,
Oh,
our
yeah.
other salesman. That what was the name of that peach tree in Atlanta?
It's Peachtree Towers. It's I don't know if you've ever been to Atlanta. It's the Round Hotel.
No, I've only been to like kind of by the Brave Stadium. We went to like a trade show kind of thing over there.
Yeah, this is right downtown, next to the convention, near the convention center. And we took a customer out for dinner, and they have a revolving restaurant at the top, which doesn't work. It doesn't move. Somebody said somebody got hurt on it or something. I don't know, but it doesn't go around anymore. But anyway, we had one of our salesmen is scared of heights, and he didn't tell me that. I made the reservation because the restaurant's really good. And he got on the elevator, and he just stared at the door. And meanwhile, two of our service techs were his son and Kyle, the other tech, were, oh, look at that. Look how far up we are. This is great. And he's just,
It's one of those outdoor elevators. Like,
yeah. So he got off the elevator, and he ran right in, and I sat him so he was facing away from the windows. He was facing, but that didn't matter.
Thought he was going to fall back.
Oh, he was just terrified.
How many stories is that?
Oh, I don't know. That's got to be, 50, 60 maybe.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that big.
It's way up there.
Yeah, I'd be scared too. Me and Ryan would be huddled in the corner.
There's a thing with heights. Like, I don't like heights either, but there's like a cutoff point where where it's not scary anymore. Like once you get over a certain height, I feel like, because then it's like an unreal height where it's, it's context.
You lose you're going to pass out in those first 4 stories of the fall.
Like, I don't want to be on the top of the roof of my house, but I'll go on the top of like, I don't want to be outside, but like, on the top of the Eiffel Tower is fine.
Yeah. I did some work. I think it was like 101 Hudson or 100 Hudson, or one of those addresses in Jersey City. And the apartment was on the 47th floor, and they had the windows that go like, literally to the floor. I was like, I would not be comfortable living here.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
Takes a certain person for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. It was a good day.
Yeah. What do you think? You guys want to
Have any parting shots? Parting bits of wisdom?
Call rtmachine.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
We're
right.
your guys,
Yeah.
Remind everybody what your service area is.
But we cover anything in the country as far as our used equipment and out of the country. But as far as our new equipment and being able to reasonably get our service techs here, we're Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, Ohio. That's kind of our main core region. We do a lot more new equipment in that area. But our techs, Kyle's goes out to Texas. Guys, we send our Oliver guy anywhere, California.
Yeah, he was
Iowa.
just out now, California.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we do some service work for some of the manufacturers, Frolmac. We do a lot of work for those guys. And so, but anyway, our region is Northeast.
Is it a flat rate for service?
I don't even know what they charge. It's so much an hour and there's a travel time and there's stuff like that. There's a per diem, but they change it and I don't keep up with it. So,
Yeah, it just depends. Each customer going by your zip code and your address.
Yeah.
What's going on. And then we look at, the scope of work that we're going to be doing. We try to pre-quote, a guesstimation.
Yeah. So you can get an idea if somebody calls you up from Connecticut and says, hey, my edge band is acting up.
Mm-hmm.
Got the pain in the ass factor. You got to factor that in.
We have one of those.
Yeah.
The 8th floor, it's a walk up, you said? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We'll make it, but we're not going to install it. We're going to leave it on the sidewalk. If you're cool with that, we can
Literally
talk.
tailgate delivery. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so don't be afraid to reach out. Just because these guys are in Pennsylvania doesn't mean that, they can't sell you a machine out in California or anywhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what? It's the largest used machinery facility in North America. Is that what it is?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If you can find somebody with more machinery, let me know. I've been in most of these places. So.
We have a guy he doesn't really have any woodworking machinery. We're looking for a compressor. We found his information. He's in was it Farmingdale? But he seemed to have a lot of weird industrial stuff.
Oh, there's a guy in Ohio that has a lot of industrial metalworking, but as far as just concentrate on woodworking, I don't know anybody's got any more stuff than we do.
So it's RT Machine.
rtmachine.com.
Yeah. All right. Everybody can remember that.
Yeah. Well, if not, we'll put it down there in the description.
Broadcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
Anytime you always look up the American Craftsman.
Yeah.
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 For your driving pleasure, wherever you are. You can
Yeah.
listen to it.
There you go.
Let's see. 2 hours and 45 minutes. We can make it. We could almost make it to Bridgehampton in the morning. We
Yeah.
left at 4.
Yeah. Yeah. The morning ride is about an hour or so.
Yeah.
Less,
Shorter.
yeah.
The evening commute.
Oh.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, with that, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
out, guys.
Thanks for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Always
Appreciate
a
it.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Nice meeting
Yeah.
you.
And you guys are thinking about maybe doing a podcast, right?
Yep. The guys keep pushing me. They want to do it.
Yeah.
So Jill, I think, reached out to you. So
Yep.
yeah, we're going to try to figure it out. And
Yeah. I encourage you.
Yeah. So when you guys do, let us know. We'll let all the listeners know.
yeah,
You guys will have to
then
tune
you
in.
guys can come over to our place. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
do the opposite.
Yeah.
How far are you from Shady Maple?
80 Maple.
Yeah, it's down.
It's down
like
south, right?
Yeah, we're probably, because I'm about an hour and a half from my house. And that's like another 40 minutes.
Oh, it's not even in the neighborhood.
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah, because
you
you'd
guys
be
are
coming
north,
out
way north of Lancaster, right?
We are?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're north of Lancaster.
north and west.
Yep, northwest.
Oh, okay.
So we're almost like, Harrisburg's like central
Mhm.
PA, and we're almost like directly north
Correct.
of Harrisburg.
Okay.
Little west, but mostly directly north.
I wonder if we could make this the Frank Lloyd Wright
Falling water.
Falling Water and what's the something knob?
That's way out west, isn't it?
Altoona-ish.
Okay.
So probably what's that from us?
Another couple hours.
That's where I would take PA Turnpike to Altoona and then get on like 68 or whatever it was to get out to Morgantown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's a nice area. Got a lot around us.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna have to make it out there.
Yeah.
Why not?
We'll wine and dine you.
Yeah.
There
Yeah. You've been good to us.
Yeah.
We'll be tired after walking around 80,000 square feet. That's for sure. Well, thanks everybody.
All right.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
As always, Rob and I thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. If you want to help support the podcast, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Again, we appreciate your support. Thanks for tuning in.